And you
Yes.
just thought many more join on during the process.
Okay, sir. So a very good morning to one and all in this international webinar on the information and communications technology and COVID-19. We have pleasure to welcome Professor Musharraf Hussain Shah, Principal, Government Degree College, Poonch, Dr. Christian Bertov, Gandhi Information Center, Germany, Dr. Munir Karama from Hebron, Palestine, Dr. Waziri from Nigeria, Dr. Tanveer from IIT Indore, Dr. Mohan Kumar from PDU University, Bangalore, Dr. Kirmani from Sakast, Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, India. Esteemed colleagues from various colleges and universities across the UT of Jammu and Kashmir and country, the member of organizing committee, and more importantly, all the esteemed participants. It's a pleasure and honor to welcome all in today's pertinent webinar, that is International Webinar on the Information and the Communication Technology and COVID-19. This webinar is being organized by the Department of Computer Science, Government Degree College, Poonch, in collaboration with the Sheikh's Computer Association Technology, Poonch, Jammu and Kashmir, India, and Attitude Change International, Dharhal, J&K, India. We tried, under the able leadership of Professor Musharraf Hussain Shah, Principal, Government Degree College, Poonch, that to recognize the role of the information technology to drag humanity during the unprecedented times of the COVID-19 for last almost 2 years. In this pertinent conference, about 250 people are registered from the different states and of course different countries, and we try to bring the best resource person from various countries and across the nation for the target audience to just recognize the role of the ICT and during the COVID-19 times. So before we proceed the proceedings of the program, so as the proceedings of the program we have already shared among all the participants, but we are going to start with the keynote speakers. Before that, I will request Professor Musharraf Hussain Shah Sahab, Principal, Government Degree College, Poonch, and patron of this pertinent conference, for the formal welcome address. Professor Shah Sahab. Mike, sir. Mike.
All right. Thank you. So, good morning, everybody. It's my proud privilege to be here with you this morning to extend very warm greetings and welcome to all the participants of the one-day communication technology and COVID-19. Take this opportunity to extend my welcome to Dr. Muhammad Tanveer, Associate Professor, Ramanujan Fellow, Department of Mathematics, IIT Indore, Dr. Mohan Kumar Patel, Associate Professor, University of Transdisciplinary Health Services and Technology, Bengaluru, Dr. Christian Bartov, President, Gandhi Information Center, Berlin, Dr. Munir Karama, Assistant Professor, Department of Applied Maths, Palestine Polytechnic University, Hebron, Palestine, Dr. Wazir Garba Dheru, Senior Lecturer, Department of Pathology, College of Medical Sciences, Ahmedabad, Bellu University, Zaira, Nigeria, Dr. Mudassir Manzoor Kirmani, Assistant Professor cum Junior Scientist, Department of Computer Sciences, Quest, Kashmir, and extend my greetings to the very dynamic team comprising of Dr. Riaz Ahmed, Dr. Ashik Malik, who is instrumental in connecting Rajouri and Poonch and presenting it before the entire world, and our complete package of commitment, Dr. Maroof Khan, and the host, Dr. Tariq Hussain. My privilege to be indeed to be here with you this morning to talk about something that has a unique bearing on the present unprecedented situation that has been created all over the world by the coronavirus, this novel coronavirus that we call. And we have to find out how really this information communication technology is helpful, in managing the affairs related to COVID-19. If we look at how the things developed, you already know that a new coronavirus infection named coronavirus disease COVID-19 was discovered in Wuhan, China at the end of 2019 and has rapidly moved to different parts of the world over a period of time. The World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic in March 2020. COVID-19 was characterized by the rapidity of the outbreak that was accelerated by transportation networks worldwide. Researchers have attempted various approaches to manage COVID-19, such as genome analysis, diagnostic methods, treatments, and prevention. An infodemic situation has developed whereby misinformation has caused logistical disruptions and resulted in health hazards and shortages of supplies. In Japan, face masks became difficult to find and toilet papers temporarily disappeared from stores because it was thought that it was made from the same paper as masks. Similar panic buying and stockpiling has occurred worldwide, disrupting logistics. In Iran, a false rumor circulated that methanol was effective against COVID-19, which led to nearly 500 deaths. In USA, the President Donald Trump made comments about injecting disinfectant, leading to several people drinking the disinfectant and causing them health problems. The International Telecommunication Union released a statement to make it known that there is no scientific basis of the claim that 5G network accelerated the COVID-19 pandemic. Social unrest has increased the stigma attached to those of Asian ethnicity, people who have recovered from COVID-19, and healthcare workers. Even before the COVID-19 outbreak, smartphone applications were being utilized to combat infectious diseases, and more applications have since been developed to tackle, to cause an infodemic. ICT has been widely applied as a tool against the COVID-19 crisis. Now, let's find out how this information communication technology can be helpful, in combating the diseases like COVID-19. The first and the foremost is patient registry and geographical information system. The tracking of patients and their contacts is imperative to public health in the fight against infectious diseases. Johns Hopkins University Department of Public Health, Baltimore, Maryland, USA developed an interactive geographical information service, GIS, that was developed using different techniques to display the number of confirmed cases of and deaths caused by COVID-19 on a map. This GIS publishes epidemiological data worldwide, as well as the country and regional trends in the patient numbers. Comprehensive information is available on maps and graphs. The World Health Organization also built a similar website, and in Japan, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government commissioned a website to visualize data related to COVID-19. The second important area where this information communication technology is useful includes clinical decision support. It has also been reported that machine learning of medical images such as the chest radiographs and CT scans can be used to accurately diagnose COVID-19 associated with pneumonia. Much of the available data related to COVID-19 are open access data. The creation of electronic clinical guidelines has also been reported, whereby implemented data sets have been added, diagnosis and treatment of COVID-19. The third area where the ICT can be helpful includes telemedicine. The use of telemeeting and teleworking systems using ICT became popular because of the many regional lockdowns that acted as a countermeasure to the pandemic. In Japan, telemedicine had not previously been adopted widely, but now many healthcare providers utilize it for outpatient management and the initial treatment of the patients. COVID-19, various medical conferences have been held as teleconferences, and the one that we are carrying out right now using video calling technologies, which has contributed to the spread of the latest medical information, including the latest developments in COVID-19 research. Then the most important component that has been helpful includes the contact tracing, and that has been used worldwide. And you know that digital contact tracing was suggested as a means to help control COVID-19 transmission, following both real-world experiences in Singapore and mathematical models. Both Apple and Google provide a contact tracing application programming interface on their iOS applications and Android systems. So these have proved greatly helpful in tracing the contacts all over the world. Then another important aspect where this ICT has been helpful includes digital quarantine against misinformation. To counter COVID-19 related misinformation, the World Health Organization and other health organizations of many countries have ensured that the accurate information is published. They have also blocked misinformation shared on social media and guided public information. Social media platforms also banned many accounts that propagated conspiracies related to COVID-19. So if we, before we conclude this discussion, we can find out that there are many advantages and the disadvantages of utilizing ICT in a pandemic. The disadvantages mainly concerning privacy issues and ICT investment. Various ICT tools are being used to fight the current COVID-19 pandemic. The data related to COVID-19 are available as open data, and volunteers have been using it to help control the spread of disease. It is helpful to understand the current epidemic status using websites that visualize the heat map of patient numbers and graphs. Trials using data for clinical support are underway, and there are high expectations regarding the potential of ICT tools to fight COVID-19. In contrast, the privacy of infected patients has the capacity to be violated by a breach of the ICT software. Contact tracing could divulge private information, such as the whereabouts of a user and their relationships to an unintended audience. There is also skepticism about the effectiveness in tracking the infection. For example, a contact tracing application was released in Norway, but was discontinued because of low numbers of people infected and the suspicions about privacy implications. The World Health Organization published a statement in 2016, if you remember, about ethical considerations during the epidemics of infectious diseases, aiming to avoid the stigma directed at patients by protecting personal privacy. Germany and Japan are developing their contact tracing applications as open source software in order to improve transparency and manage private information. Nevertheless, ICT has been widely adopted to fight COVID-19 despite the suspicions the public may have about the technology. Misinformation has generated panic in relation to disasters throughout human history. Long before the ICT era, the ICT has, accelerated the spread of information and misinformation spread and caused on infodemic, a new type of information panic. However, ICT has also delivered authentic information about COVID-19 and become a modern weapon in the fight against pandemic. Telemedicine has already become part of the healthcare infrastructure to combat COVID-19 and will be the new normal when the pandemic is over. More ICT tools are needed to keep fighting COVID-19, which could not only help in this pandemic, but the next one too in the near future. Artificial intelligence based on machine learning could be utilized to detect early stages of outbreak, though privacy issues in training data for machine learning could cause problems. So we really can conclude that this information communication technology, of course, is greatly helpful, in educating the workers in the field of COVID-19 and in educating the masses in creating awareness among them. My appreciation to the team engaged for organizing this international webinar, and good morning to all the participants, and best wishes to each one of you for during the proceeding of this international webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
For such a comprehensive address covering all aspects of the ICT, COVID-19, and the current scenario where the humanity is passing through. And Professor Musharraf Hussain Shah is a renowned academician who is leading one of the oldest colleges in the Pir Panjal or Western Himalayas, that is Government Degree College, Poonch. Thank you so much, sir. Now, I will request Dr. Muhammad Tanveer, Associate Professor and Ramanujan Fellow, Department of Mathematics, Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Indore, for the keynote address. But before I invite Dr. Tanveer, I will request the organizing secretary, Dr. Maruf Khan, for the brief introduction about the our keynote speaker, Dr. Tanveer. And we are really thankful and welcome Dr. Tanveer, who has spared his valuable time out of his busy schedule. Dr. Maruf, please.
Good morning to one and all. Dr. Muhammad Tanveer is Associate Professor and Ramanujan Fellow at the Discipline of Mathematics of the Indian Institute of Technology, Indore. Prior to that, he spent 1 year in a postdoctoral research fellow at the Rolls-Royce NTU Corporate Lab of the Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. During 2012 to 2015, he was an assistant professor at the Department of Computer Science and Engineering of the LNM Institute of Information Technology, Jaipur. He received PhD degree in Computer Sciences from the Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, India. Prior to that, he received the MPhil degree in Mathematics from Aligarh Muslim University. His research interests include sport vector machines, optimizations, machine learning, deep learning, application to Alzheimer's disease and dementia, biomedical signal processing, and fixed point theory and application. He has published over 50 referred journal papers of international repute. His publications have around 1100 citations with H-index 21. Recently, he has been listed in the world top 2% scientists in the study carried out by Stanford University, USA. He has served on review boards for more than 100 scientific journals and served for scientific committees of various national and international conferences. He is the recipient of the 2017 SERP Early Career Research Award in Engineering Sciences and only recipient of 2016 DST Ramanujan Fellowship in Mathematical Sciences, which are the prestigious award of India at early career level. He is currently the member of editorial board, guest editors, associate editor in several journals including ACM, Transactions of Multimedia, Applied Soft Computing, Elsevier, Transactions on Emerging Topics in Computational Intelligence, Frontier in Applied Mathematics and Statistics, Applied Intelligence, Springer, Multimedia Tools and Applications, Springer and Smart Sciences, Taylor and Francis. He has also co-edited one book in Springer on machine intelligence and signal analysis. He has organized many international national conferences, symposium, workshop, as journal chair, organizing chairs, coordinators, and delivered talks on keynote, plenary, invited speakers in many international conferences and symposiums. He has organized several special sessions in top-ranked conferences, including WCCI, IJCNN, IEEE, SMC, among other distinguished international conference chairing roles. He is the Central Chair for 29th International Conference on Neural Information Processing, the world's largest and top technical event in computational intelligence. Dr. Tanveer is currently the principal investigator of 7 major research projects funded by Government of India, including Department of Sciences and Technology, Science and Engineering Research Board, and Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. That is the renowned scientist of India. Now I welcome Dr. Tanveer to address his plenary talk to the participants.
Very good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, especially the organizing team led by Professor Malik. So thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to deliver this talk and international webinar on ICT and COVID-19. So I plan to deliver this talk on discussing few recent machine learning algorithms developed by our team and applications to some biomedical data. So that includes, I focused here 2 biomedical data specifically on Alzheimer's disease and epileptic disease that is based on EEG data. So these are 2 main focus of today's talk. So can I share my screen now? So now let me...
Yes, please.
Let me
Dr.
share my screen.
Yes.
So, I'm not able to share my screen. What is the problem? So, could you please help me on that?
Dr. Tariq, please.
Sir, if any type of a problem, you can mail me. I will present here.
Okay. I think I can send an email, so that would be better, because I'm not able to. Maybe due to a low bandwidth would be one of the issue, because I used to talk every day, but now I reached yesterday to my hometown, so it could be one of the main issue here in the network.
I share my email in chat box.
Okay.
Yes. Meanwhile, Dr. Tanvir, you can start.
Shit.
Sir, you can also share in the chat box your PPT.
Okay. Let me try. So could you please share your email ID?
I already shared in the chat box, sir. Meet chat box.
I need to go again there. Okay. Yeah. No issue. So.
Dr. Tanvir, you can again try for this screen sharing. You can share the entire screen, isn't it? If you try.
Yeah, I'm doing that, but I just sent one email, my slides in the attachment. So I hope that you may get that. So
Sir,
I'm trying to share my full screen, but still.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Your slide is not shared. You have just email me.
Yeah, I just share my slides via email.
Okay. Sir, your slide is not attached here.
Hello?
In the email.
How can it possible? I can see it is in the attachment. Sorry. Yeah, I can see here.
Let me share the screen, sir.
Sorry?
I will show you in my screen, sir. Sir, you can see my screen, sir?
Yeah, just wait. Let me. Okay. Yeah, I sent. Yeah, please check. It is there. I can see it is in the attachment. Could you please check another email?
You have to refresh, Dr. Tariq.
Okay. Yeah, it is there. It is up. It is shared now, sir.
Sorry.
Dr. Talp, you have to increase the size, isn't it?
Okay.
One page per slide. Yeah.
Is it okay, sir?
Yeah, it's visible. Yes. So can I start now?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So sorry for the delay and due to all these issues. Yeah, it was already informed to Professor Malik that it could be one of the issue at home.
No problem, sir.
So title is Machine Learning Algorithms and Applications to Biomedical Data. So could you please just go to the next slide? So essentially, as I mentioned in my last information, that I'm going to discuss two algorithms here. One is based on Alzheimer data and another is based on EEG data. So this is just some basic notations. So all the vectors are assumed as column vectors. So for example, capital X is a matrix containing the data points belonging to class +1 and -1 of size L1 cross n and L2 cross n. So since both the algorithms is based on the universal data, I'll discuss the importance of this kind of data. So we just represent with symbol U, having some dimension R cross N and total number of data points represented by L. This is equal to P plus Q, where N is the number of dimension of each data point. And norm of small x and norm of capital X, here it represents the two norm of vector X and matrix capital X. Yeah, next slide. So yeah, please go next. So I'll start with the support vector machines. It's one of the most powerful technique of machine learning. So initially introduced for classification in 1995 by Vapnik and co-workers, and then extended for regression problems, and later on it was extended for unsupervised, that is clustering problems. So here this talk is focused on classification problems. So let's consider a binary classification problem to classify data points belonging to class +1 and -1, which are represented by matrices capital A and capital B. And here L1 and L2 are data points belonging to class +1 and -1. Since here we are talking about binary data, means suppose we have just two class data points. It could be red and blue, it could be 1 and 2. This is just a representation, class 1 and -1. So essentially, support vector machine look for finding out the optimal hyperplane between positive and negative samples. So the first property is coming to maximize that distance between positive and negative samples. So that is equivalently to say minimization of the regularization term. Yeah, next slide. So this is the basic nonlinear formulation of support vector machine, standard one. So what essentially we are doing, we are just talking about the nonlinear data, means when the data is highly complex. So how to handle those kind of data? So I could not explain much because the control is not with me, and I cannot, explain by sharing those things. So that's a issue. So no problem. So you can see that we have one objective function and subject to the two constraints. And the third is inequality, bounding conditions on the non-negativity variables. This is xi. Xi here is select variable, and the first term is the regularization term, this W. This margin. And subject to the constraint in the sense that we just say that the data point should be above one class and below another class. So it means that we just say that this maximize this distance. So, please go to the next slide. So essentially, we just here writing this map phi. So here phi is doing very nice work. We just map the given input data to some high dimensional space, such that the data point are linearly separable in some high dimension. So you can see that while solving this kind of problem, you can see here in equation 2 that the data points here, this phi transpose phi, you can see it appears in the form of inner product. So what are the benefits? Benefits here is we are working in the very high dimension, but working in the high dimension, but you can see that we are solving problem in the input space, just in the linear space, because you can see phi transpose phi is nothing but is an inner product, means it's nothing but it's a number. Okay, so and it's very simple now to solve this kind of problem. It's just a QPP, and now we can just solve either in Python, MATLAB, or R, any kind of programming. Just use the some package QPP, and then just whatever data you are using. It could be biomedical, it could be just a normal benchmark database. So you can just implement the algorithm based on those data. Now, please go to the next slide. So this is just decision function, this sin W transpose X plus B, just to look whether the data points, when a new data point is coming up, so we have to check whether it belongs to the class +1 or class -1. So please go to the next slide. Yeah, so as I mentioned that the importance here is phi. We map this from input data to high dimensional space with the map phi, and here this phi transpose phi is just representing as a kernel function. So, and there are many kernel function available in the literature, like polynomial kernel, radial basis kernel function, sigmoidal. A lot of kernel functions are available in the literature, and a lot of studies based on that which kernel we had to use, or we had to use assembling of kernel function, whether we had to use the multiple kernel theory. So usually those people are not theoretically working on those, choosing the kernel. So what we see in the literature that the Gaussian kernel is performing well on most data sets. So could you please go to the next slide? So now we'll start support vector machine-based recursive feature elimination first, and then we'll come back to the main algorithm. Yeah, please go to the this slide. Yeah. So the concept of SVM RFE is proposed by Guyon et al. To perform gene selection for cancer classification. And support vector machine RFE algorithm uses weights of support vector machine classifier as a ranking criteria. And using this approach, the importance is that the features are eliminated in iterative manner to find the most important feature for classification problems. Yeah, please go to the next slide. So this is the just an algorithm of SVM RFE. This is whatever proposed by Guyon et al. So we just have training data, class labels, and we just take this feature selection and then train the classifier using this weights, and then we just complete the ranking criteria C, and finally we get this feature with the smallest rank. Yeah, please go to the next slide. So now I'm going to discuss universum data, because today focused on two algorithms, and both the algorithms is based on universum data. So what is essentially universum data? So you can see with this figure, universum data is used to align the classifier with the data distribution. So you can see in this figure, the classifier generated by universum SVM is better aligned to classify the data points. So it helps in the classification of testing data. So without this knowledge of the data distribution, the support vector machine classifier only try to maximize the margin. So it results in reducing improved performance or generalization performance of the model. So here we generate universum samples using randomized averaging of data points. So you can see in the middle, this is epsilon insensitive tube with the color green as universum samples. So could you please go to the next slide? So this is essentially the formulation of universum SVM. So what is the difference between the previous algorithms and this universum SVM algorithms? You can see in the objective function, the third term, that is small cu summation eta j, and the second constraint, this is yj, w transpose phi xj plus p greater than or equal to minus epsilon minus eta j. So these are extra term in the SVM, nonlinear SVM. So why it is coming extra? Due to universum samples. Universum data gives us additional information, advanced information about the distribution of data. Could you please go to the next slide? So this is just on the similar lines to SVM, we just get this dual formulation. And you can see that we got the dual in the similar kind of form, that the data points again appear in the form of inner product, that is phi transpose phi. So then we can just solve as a QPP, and we can decide the kind of new samples to belongs to either class +1 or class -1. Please go to the next slide. So now I'm coming with the SVM RFE and our proposal. So this proposal recently published in 2020. So what happens if you look at SVM RFE algorithms and the importance of universum data? I just connect both here. So SVM RFE algorithm lacks the knowledge about the distribution of data. Moreover, in the recursive process, the SVM classifier eliminates features on the basis of local information about the data. So in order to incorporate knowledge about the data distribution, we just use universum sample as explained previously in figure. So the resulting universum based algorithm uses this prior information about the distribution of data in the recursive elimination of features, leading to better feature selection. So I think in the literature first time it was introduced this kind of algorithm, especially for Alzheimer data. Yeah, please go to the next slide. So this is the algorithm of the proposed universum based algorithm. So essentially here we use universum data point in each iteration. You can see here in point number 15 and 16, 17. So we just use universal data points in each iteration. So it results in selection of important features due to addition of universal constraints. And here the universal data points are constrained to lie within an epsilon insensitive tube, as explained in figure and algorithm. So since universal RFE algorithm is wrapper method, the process is divided in 3 phases here. So the first, this parameter selection, the second is feature elimination, and finally the classification. So please go to the next slide. So here we are using Alzheimer data for this classification. Please go to the next slide. So you can see that this is publicly available data taken from ADNI website. So it's a big database. So I have a very big project on Alzheimer, but initially I was not much experienced in this data. So recently we have the largest data. I think in India we have the largest data from ADNI, and we are using it, and we are getting a very high quality papers in the last 1 year. So on Alzheimer. So it was essentially, you can see the few information of ADNI, and the main objective of ADNI is to analyze the effectiveness of neuroimaging techniques like MRI, PET, and other biological markers and clinical neuropsychological tests to estimate the onset of AD. So it's really Alzheimer data, if you heard, is one of the most common cause of death in today's world. So, and MRI provides an efficient and non-invasive approach for diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. So efficient feature extraction techniques are required for accurate classification of MRI images. So due to this motivation of SVM RFE, so here we develop a new approach, feature selection technique, to incorporate this universal information, that is prior information about the data distribution, using this recursive feature elimination. So could you please go to the next slide? And we use some performance metrics in the next slide, that is accuracy, sensitivity, specificity, and F1 score. So these are just a formula available in the literature. So please go to the next slide. So, and we just did some experiment based on the proposed algorithm. So you can see here, here this is the performance comparison of the proposed approach. This is especially for healthy patients with Alzheimer patients, and especially on VBM features. You can see that the proposed algorithm's accuracy is performing really very well here if we compare with the baseline algorithms. Could you please go to the next slide? And you can see with this figure that this is again CN healthy versus Alzheimer patients. So you can see we just compare the classification accuracy of the proposed algorithm with the baseline algorithms, and you can see that initially the accuracy was down when the number of features was very less, but after that, when the number of features just growing, so then the performance is going very high. So means the proposed algorithm, which is based on universal, is performing really very well. Please go to the next slide. Yeah, so this is also again a CN versus AD with another VBM features. So I think this is not showing perfectly. I don't know what's the problem here. Yeah, please go to the next slide. Yeah, so this is some illustration of reduced gray matter voxels obtained after feature elimination process of the proposed algorithm in the left side, and the right hand side is the baseline model. This is again for CN versus AD, that is control normal, that is healthy patients, and AD means Alzheimer's disease patients. So you can see the variation of weights here. So you can see that the left side we have the much variation, less variation, and if we compare with the baseline one. Yeah, please next slide. I don't know what's the problem again here in these two figures. Please go to the next slide. Yeah. So here another CN versus AD for gray matter features. So you can see for the proposed model, the downside, this figure B, and figure A is the baseline model. So you can see the accuracy wise, the figure B, which is based on the proposed model, is really performing very well. So when it means that the conclusion is that universal approach is working very well. So if we have even what happens if I give an example, when in a classroom a teacher is teaching, so the same thing is teaching whatever given in the book, but he gives some additional information to explain the method. So while explaining, so that explanation is nothing but the universal data, right? So could you please go to the next slide? Yeah. So I'll try to just quickly explain this EG data using Universal Svm. So how much time I have now?
You may take your time, please. You may speak.
Okay. Thank you. So you can see that we have three different states. We have healthy control, interictal state, and ictal state. So it's really a very interesting work. So this is also the first approach in the literature using this universal concept for EEG signal analysis. And this work was published in one elsewhere journal called Expert System with Applications. This is the most cited paper of that journal in that list, in the most cited journals list. So it was published in 2018, and I think more than 100, around 123 citations according to Google Scholars. So I'll try to explain quickly this idea. Could you please go to the next slide? So we have taken this baseline database already available, and this paper you can see, and this data set consists of 5 sets, right? Capital Z, capital O, capital N, F, and S. So each set contains 100 single channel EEG signals sampled at a sampling rate of 173.61 Hertz and 23.6 seconds duration. So the sets Z and capital O are surface EEG recordings of 5 healthy volunteers with eyes open and closed. The sets N and F are recordings of 5 patients in the interictal state and the region of recording in the hippocampal formation of the opposite hemisphere of the brain, and the epileptic zone in F. And the set capital S is for the ictal state consisting of seizure recordings from all the recording sites exhibiting ictal activity. The mode of EEG recording is intracranial for N, F, and S. Could you please go to the next slide? So this is the proposed technique. So what essentially we did here, we just choose a feature extraction technique and extract the features from the training data consisting of healthy and seizure data points. And then we extract the features from the universal points. So that is taken from the seizure-free data set. And then further, we reduce the dimension using PCA and the CDR. And then further, we train the model using training data with Universum, and we test using the steps 2 and 3 and the classifier. Now, please go to the next slide. So this is the overall framework of the model, and you can see the performance of the model of different combination of feature extraction methods. You can see that the performance is really very well. And again, this is due to the concept of Universum approach in these models. So yeah, please go to the next slide. So this is just a few figures here I have included. So you can see that accuracy comparison for the classification of EEG signals on one of the data sets. So with the proposed algorithm, you can see that when the accuracy is high in most of the feature extraction methods. Yeah. Now please go to the next slide. So this is another ONS data sets. So yeah, this is outperform on all the methods. So the proposed idea is performing extremely well here. Now please go to the next figure. And yeah, next yeah. So what essentially we did here, so here we proposed two different models. So one is based on Alzheimer's disease, and another proposed for the epileptic epilepsy. So in the first, we propose a Universum-based technique for feature selection, and it provides an improvement of over the baseline model called SVM RFE by giving additional information about the distribution of data. So on the basis of our analysis on Alzheimer's disease, the proposed idea has performed very well when compared with the baseline algorithm in most of the cases when we are choosing for healthy MCI, mild cognitive impairment, and AD, Alzheimer's disease patients. So what happens here, we propose an approach of using voxel-based morphometry on training and testing phase separately. Now, please go to the next slide. So, on the basis of numerical experiments, on the second approach, we used SVM-based so that gives better performance for the classification of EEG.
Please mute to mic, please.
Yeah, I think some noise is coming.
You can continue, sir. Please.
Yeah. So our proposed idea here, the selection of Universum points has proved to be a promising approach for the classification of healthy and seizure EEG signals. And the effect of outliers on the Universum is reduced by using the Universum from the EEG datasets. So, and the distribution of seizure-free signals provide the prior information about the distribution of healthy and seizure signals, and it lies in the middle of two classes. So, yeah, please go to the next slide. So, essentially, I just discussed two ideas, and now in the next few minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, I'm going to discuss the few research activities in my research lab. So maybe a few of the participants are working on machine learning and biomedical data, so it could be very helpful for them. So these are some of the research projects working, means we are working in our lab at IIT Indore. So you can see that all are funded by DST, SCRV, CSIR. Please go to the next slide. So all are machine learning and biomedical data. And here the last one is MHRD Spark scheme. Yeah, please go to the next slide. Yeah, so this is just an invitation. If you are interested to submit your work. So the first is we have the special issues. In IEEE, JBHI is one of the most premium journal in the biomedical data, biomedical areas. So this is on advanced machine learning algorithms for biomedical data and imaging. So this is with the team of Australia, UK, and Taiwan. And the second is in annals of OR. It's also very top journal in OR. So this is based on robust data analysis and its application. So with the team of US and Czech Republic. So please go to the next slide. Dates, you can see that it's available. You are free to submit your work. And the third is on randomized based deep and shallow learning algorithms. So it is information fusion. So this is also one of the most top journal. You can see the impact factor is 13.67. So, and this is with the team of NTU Singapore and UTS Australia. And the last one is advanced signal acquisition and processing for Internet of Medical Things. So it is in CMC journal, impact factor is around 4.89. So all are open for the submissions. If any of you are interested, you are welcome to submit your work. So these are the special issues of the journal. So now I'll discuss some special sessions in top conferences. So first I'll discuss the invitation to MISP conference. So I'm one of the founder of this conference, initially started at IIT Indore. So this time it is NIT Arunachal Pradesh. So you're welcome to join this conference in September. Please go to the next slide. So, as a publicity chair of Iconic, as a core rank A conference, this time in Bali, Indonesia. So, I think it's going to be hybrid mode, virtual. I think for the outside, it could be virtual, looks like to me, but they have written that it's going to be hybrid mode. So, their submission is open for this. And now, please go to the next slide. So there are a few special sessions here on these two different topics. If any of you are interested, please welcome to submit your work. Please go to the next slide. As a big invitations for this Iconic 2022, I think we are organizing this conference after 18 years in India. So first it was 2004, organized by Professor S.K. Pal, ISI Kolkata. So this time we are organizing here in India after 18 years and most likely in December 2022 as a tentative date. So, and I'm one of the journal chairs of this conference. So it's a good news for India. Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. So this is just an acknowledgement to some funding agencies so far helping me in my research. Okay. So thank you so much for the attention. If you have any question, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tanveer, for such a wonderful presentation. And it was really a quality presentation. And you, in a very simple and a very lucid way, you have explained how the machines, they work and the principle underlying and how they are serving the humanity. And thank you so much for sharing the very, very important information regarding the conferences, fellowship and other programs, which are really beneficial for our target audience, especially the professional and the budding scholars from the ICT, computers and mathematics. So thank you so much, Dr. Tanveer, for this wonderful presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. So if there are questions, and we have question and answer session after the presentation. So the participants will be allowed or welcome to ask the questions after some time. Now, I'll invite Dr. Mohan Kumar Patel, Associate Professor, Center for Ayurveda Biology and Holistic Nutrition, University of Transdisciplinary Health Sciences and Technology, TDU, Bengaluru, India. Before I invite Dr. Mohana Kumar Patel ji, I will request Dr. Maruf Khan for the brief introduction for our second keynote speaker. Dr. Maruf Khan, please introduce us.
Good morning to one and all. Dr. Mohan Kumar Patel, Associate Professor, Center for Ayurvedic Biology and Holistic Nutrition, University of Transdisciplinary Health Sciences and Technology, Bangalore. Dr. Mohan completed his postgraduate and doctoral studies in University of Agricultural Sciences, GKVK, Bangalore, under the supervision of Professor Uma Shankar. Later did his postdoctoral fellow SCRB DST Young Scientist at Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, Chennai, Department of Chemistry under the mentorship of Professor Pradeep. He has been trained in the art of conceptual thinking and asking precise questions. These have been the cornerstone of his foundation in research. In his past 15 years, he has been trained in tools ranging from biochemical like HPLC, LCM, MS, MALDI-TOF, DESI, MSI to molecular techniques like DNA markers, genome, transcriptomes, sequencing, multi-omic applications in medicinal plant research. He has technical experience in isolation, purification, and structural characterization of secondary metabolites using EMI, MS, fragmentations, then molecular biology and bioinformatics experience in RNA isolation, synthesis of cDNA, PCR, RT-PCR, qPCR, cloning and transformations, SSR, genotyping using LI, or automated sequencers. In molecular biology, isolation of endophytic fungi from plants, their taxonomic characterizations, DNA barcoding using rDNA, ITS locus, etc. In his achievement, he has organized Indian academic-sponsored refresher courses for the last 3 years and also organized various virtual lecture workshops, 1 credit course, development of curriculum, and MSc in biological sciences, bioinformatics, and functional genomics. He has involved in establishing various labs at TDU like instrumentation lab, bioinformatics, biomoleculars, chemistry, and analytical labs. There are various ongoing research projects in his cadets like multi-omic approaches and mass spectrometry-based tissue metabolite using towards understanding metabolites, localizations, and metabolic pathways. Besides that, development of sustainable technology for the production of anti-cancer, chromone alkaloids, roitopinin, and diosylene from Indian forest trees. Developmental of SSR markers and assessment of genetic diversity of neural populations of Pterocarpus santaninis. Besides these functional molecules in honey for the management of diabetes and obesity. These are 4 major research projects in his career. He has published many research papers in international reputed journals in mass spectrophotometry imaging, metabolic pathway, high-value metabolites from plants and microbial science, then conservation genetics. Besides publications, he has many patents in his career, like new chromone alkaloid diosylene for the treatment of cancer and inflammatory disorders. Besides that, many awards in his careers, Canadian Commonwealth Exchange Program Asia Pacific in 2010 to do part of PhD research work at Concordia University, Montreal, Canada, under the supervision of Dr. Dayanand. Then Department of Science and Technology sponsored travel grant award Then challenges in data integrations in Heidelberg, Germany, then Institute of Postdoctoral Fellowship by Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Madras, Chennai, SARB DST Young Scientist Award, and ECR SERB Grant 2019. Besides that, he has membership in various societies like Life Member Society of Biological Chemists, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, India, then Life Member, Indian Society for Mass Spectrometry, Mumbai, India. In these words, I request Dr. Mohan Kumar Patel to please share your views among the participants.
So good morning to all. So can you see my slides?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much, organizer. So I'm sitting completely different part of the country. So at Bangalore. Thank you all organizers giving me an opportunity to share some of my work. And I'm basically give some few examples of how medicinal plants used for metabolite imaging using advanced mass spectrometry imaging. So my talk I entitled into as a mass spectrometry imaging of key medicinal plants. I did this work in 3 different labs. Currently, my major activities at Transdisciplinary University working on high-yielding lines for population for commercially important metabolites like anti-cancer metabolites like camptothecin, roitecaine. And so we have these species losing from our resources. So one of the studies is focused on identifying alternative species for these metabolite production and exploring alternative source from endophytic fungi for these source. And also we are looking at isolating various biological active molecules from these plant species. And most interesting thing, so today I'm going to discuss is metabolome analysis of medicinal plant, especially and spatial and temporal distribution, localization of these metabolites, how these localization can help in integrating metabolome and transcriptome analysis in identifying pathway genes. And so another interesting work I'm working is boundary chemistry between 2 organisms. When they fight each other, there is a lot of chemicals evolve. Those are very, very specific and very new chemical structures are evolving. And those are very much interested molecules for both controlling pest as well as management of human disease. Okay. So I will give brief about why I have taken this work as a major importance in terms of deducing pathways or metabolite identification. See, drug from plant. So are examples. Specifically anti-cancer drugs, most of the drugs is almost 75 to 80% of the drugs directly coming from plants. Another 20% of them are even coming from the modification of some of these natural products. And majorly we are depend on completely on plants. So we don't have any other option. So and why we don't have any other commercial production, and production itself is limited, and these metabolites are produced in very low quantity, and these are produced or synthesized in a very specific cell tissues, and synthesis of their complex skeletal structures are not economic. It is very difficult to synthesize in the lab, and even if we synthesize, their isomers are completely different and they may not be biologically active. And to produce genetically engineering of these things, so we have a lack of information biosynthetic machinery which are involved. And this could be because plant as a multifunctional or multicellular system, and these metabolic synthesis is happening in embroidered with various chiral center and stereochemistries. And one of the ways is using mass spectrometry imaging, and we can localize these specific cell types and do a specific cell type transcriptome analysis to deduce the pathway. And totally, once if you identify pathway, and then we can genetically engineer to produce in a higher biomass. So this is the major drawback in this. So for example, if you take a commercial production, so microbial metabolite production, specifically polycated biosynthesis, which is one example is streptomycin and penicillin. And when penicillin was discovered, it was recyclated from the urine. And so later on, the biosynthetic pathway, which is modular pathways which has been identified. And once if it has been identified, so there are labs which are genetically engineered these pathways in heterologous different systems, and they produced as many as molecules, polyketides, and which can be used as antibiotic. And now antibiotic is available in very, very, very cheaper price, which is even including 1 rupee to 1 lakh rupees, depending upon the need of the thing. So even we can synthesize a very specific personalized antibiotic for the who are resistant. So such a level we have been already evolved with the system to produce the metabolites. But in case of plants, see, I have taken 1 or 2 examples. This is very complex metabolic pathways, and we know only upstream pathways and downstream pathways we don't know. If we know all these things, so we can genetically engineer and produce as like penicillin and all. And so the one example is camptothecin, which is produced, one of the precursor is streptocidin, and this streptocidin in different plants produces different types of indole alkaloids, and it's very difficult to identify. And this could be because we are looking at holistic plant extraction and identification of core structures and not the derivatives of the, and there are a lot of missing gaps were there. So our idea was to how we can integrating metabolomics to transcriptome to identify metabolic pathways, and later we can do an heterologous expression and as well as heterologous system or genetic engineering system, synthetic biology approach to overproduce these as required for the demand. So why we failed is earlier we started with the activated guided fraction of these natural products, and this is on polarity based, and we are identifying molecules based on the different polarity and extraction, and it involves a lot of laborious process, and we are in intermediary we are losing many of these molecules, and we are only aiming at a core structure which has a more stable molecules, and so only those are being reported. So this is the one of the methods so we have highlighted. And now the advanced systems are came now, so we have got lot of like HPLC, GCMS, and NMR. So earlier extraction and NMR was the only one, and then in between, so we got lot of high performance liquid chromatography and LCMS, liquid chromatography, mass spectrometry, and all. So how we can use this mass spectrometry based tools to identify these molecules and characterize these molecules and identify these localizations. And I will give a brief introduction about mass spectrometry, the instrument, which mass spectrometry, which generates multiple ions from sample under the investigation, which separate according to their mass to charge ratio and records the relative abundance of each ion. The conversion of sample into gaseous without fragmentation, which are then characterized as mass to charge ratio and relative abundance. So this is the mass spec actually. So this is a LC part and this is the mass spec. So once the molecules which are separated here and it will enter to mass spec, its mass spec is, so this is mass inlet we call, and when which has been subjected with the solvent, and there is it will bring into an gaseous phase, and there is a electrization which will happen, that is called as ionization transfer. There is an ion source in this chamber, and then there is a mass analyzer, so that is mass by charge ratio, and which has been recorded, there will be records. So there is a ionization separation, and then there is a clear detection of mass by charge ratios of these molecules. Okay. And there are several mass spectrometry started ionization source and ion separation and fragmentations. There are multi-mass and ESI electrospray ionization mass spectrometry, and then ion separation based on time of flight, ion trap, and the ion fragmentation is collision-induced dissociation. There are so many other ECD, electrocapture dissociation. So which today I am going to more on discussing an ESI and ion trap with a collision-induced dissociation. How this particular mass spectrometry can be converted into an imaging facility, and then so we can use metabolite on the surface. So how mass spectra will be developed is there is an inlet and there is a, as I saw, source. So we are ESI. There are nowadays most of them are using ESI or MALDI and DESI. So we are using DESI, desorption, electrospray, ionization. And there is analyzer, the different magnetic, quadrufold, time of flight, ion trap, and RB trap. So the RB trap is a very high resolution, and very recent is ion trap. So, and there are detector and output. So there is a quadrupole system. So all the molecules which will ionize, it will enter here. So there is a system which will, based on the mass by charge ratio, it will separate out, and then we will get an mass spectrometry. So this is the ESI MS, electrospray ionization mass spectrometry. And so it was the one which is older one, and it can be converted into desorption electrospray ionization mass spectrometry. This was happening inside the chamber. We are extracting the molecule and then injecting the molecule, so that, and there is ionization inside, and then it will go inside the mass inlet, and then there will be a capture of all the mass by charge ratio. So recent past, so they have been identified, there is a desorption electrospray ionization mass spectrometry. The same chamber has been put into outside completely, so that we can analyze the molecule on the surface. So what will happen here? So this chamber came outside, so it happens in an ambient condition, and so there is a mobilizing gas is sprayed on the samples, and so there is a ions, and there is a dielectric capillary entrance will be there. So there is a mass inlet. So all these mass inlet masses which is charged, so it will be sucked by mass inlet, and then there will be mass detection by mass by charge ratio. And this was detected by Grams-Cooks from Purdue University. And this, how it works is solvent is sprayed on the sample, okay, and there is a mass inlet. So we have to adjust these two angles. And there is a spray. This is a spray, nitrogen gas spray, and there is a surface, and there is a gas inlet, and which is being sprayed with the solvent, and there is a electric current will be given. So there is a ionization here, and these dissolved all the samples will be sucked by a mass inlet, that is atmospheric inlet of mass spectrometry. So all the molecules will be detected, and this is one of the most important is it is a surface sensitive, and it is happens in ambient ionization and no sample preparation, so we can identify all the molecules. For example, so I can identify right now, so whoever attending the program, how many of them are having a coffee and how many of them are having a tea. So if you have spilled out some of the liquid in your thumb, so I can take a thumb impression and I put here thumb impression. So if the caffeine is detected, so I can tell, so the 30 people are taken coffee, another 30 people are taken based on the catechin. So we can identify they have taken a tea. So this is a wonderful system has been developed now. So there are so many advanced instrumentation has been developed now then. And so it has been used in multi-purpose. So how it works, I'll just show, I don't know, video, it is showing video. Yeah, so this is a it's a spray, and this is the sample. Let us say, think your thumb impression is there here, and there is a spray which is a solvent, which is like methanol or anything, any solvent we can put with a nitrogen gas, and this is a droplet size, and spot size is 150 to 150 200 micrometer. Okay, so we can set that one, and all these molecules which are in that spot, like dissolved and dissolved, and then there is a electrification, means there is a plus HR plus sodium, it will be attached here. All these ionized molecules which will be moved towards, that is the sucking will happen through mass inlet. This is called mass inlet. And all these molecules which are being sucked by mass inlet, you can capture all these molecules on relative time. So okay, every drop which is there, it is 50 to 150 micrometers. So we can collect and spectra. So if you, for example, if you design, so which is 1 centimeter into 1 centimeter, so all these molecules will be captured. There are so many spectra will be captured, and later we can convert it into images. So after once the instrument has been developed, so that it has been used for identifying forgeries, and also in quarantine, forensic analysis, and most important, it is being used when it is discovered in brain tumor surgery. So it is very difficult to identify the tumor and non-tumor cells. So in the brain tumor, so we should leave without affecting normal cell. We have to take out the cancerous cells. So using these techniques, they have been adapted. Now there are many advanced hospitals has been using this one for many surgeries apart from many other cancers. So this is the one system they have already developed in Stanford University, and in Purdue University they have developed for so many so many hospitals now. Currently, it has been completely used for diagnosing and operating for cancers. And also, it's the power of this smart metabolite analysis. So even you can identify our microbial load in our body. And so they have identified so both bacterial identification by molecular way, but 16S barcoding, and also they have done a molecular data, which is LCMS, which I have shown. So what they have done, so all of them are actually overlapping, so it is as good as the data of bacterial data, which is 16S. Okay, so molecular data, which is LCMS data. So what it shows is, so it is highly reliable information in terms of detecting, diagnosing, and identifying, which is even what are the different types of microbes are associated with, especially gut microbiome, and especially in all other, even behavioral approach also can be identified based on the imaging approach. So when it is discovered, most often this system was used for understanding for clinical purpose and diagnosis and all, and there was a limited use for plant use. So my aim was how mass spectrometry imaging can be used for addressing biological questions in terms of plant science, and it's conceptually as well as potential applications. So what I have done is, so I was working on one of the major medicinal plants. So how we can integrate with these metabolic analysis using mass spectrometry imaging and transcriptome analysis, can we identify the biosynthetic pathway genes. So these are the approach I have taken. And one of the plant which is Diazolum binactriferum, which produces roitecaine, and it is one of the analog of this roitecaine flavofiridol, which is approved as a drug now. There are so many other analogs are in clinical trial. There is recently one more analog has been approved for treating cancer. Okay, and biosynthetic pathway not known yet, and it is very much endemic to Western Ghats, as even in one place it is been identified in Northeast. So we have earlier I worked and identified high yielding lines from different parts of Diazolum, different parts of Western Ghats. So few populations which are producing very high amount of roitecaine. So which is Jog, which is many of you are aware, so which is one of the world's best waterfall in that area. And also we are associated endophytic fungi also start producing roitecaine. And one of the drawback is after culturing, so it is a last generation, so it stops producing. So that was the bigger problem. So we don't know how to retrieve that one. So and there are some work which is going on that direction. And so in this work, so major objective was mass spectrometry based tissue metabolite imaging to identify and characterize tissue specific cell type involved in their synthesis and localization, and to understand dynamics pattern of spatial distribution of chromium alkaloids during different developmental stages of seeds and sealing in Diazolum binactriferum. Okay, and identify metabolite localization of these metabolites and various tissue parts of Diazolum binactriferum. And the major hypothesis we have put is the secondary metabolites are sufficiently localized in very specific cell types so that we can detect and identify these molecules using DCMS system. And if they are very defined localization, so there should be a genes that governs the biosynthesis of secondary metabolite. And these can be further amenable to identify using cell-specific transcriptome tools. Okay, and so what we have done, so these are the different stages of fruit formation. So, and what we have done, so first, so we done in different stages of fruit, how the metabolic dynamic changes has been happening. And also once if it is shown for development of seedling, so what is the different changes of metabolite? And so how it happens is, so this is a DCMS. So when you put a sample in this, so this is the spectra on one drop, means there will be so many spectra will be generated. And after that, so we can develop a bioimaging. And also, so if we want to characterize this one, what is this molecule? So there is no difference between what are the different types of molecules. It will capture full scan, we call full scan. So all the molecules mass by charge it will detect, and we don't know what are those mass by charge. So later on what we can do is like a puzzle. So we can dismantle the puzzle and then again assemble the puzzle, so we can identify what is the structure of that molecule. So if you see here one example 306, if you fragment it to this, and there is a structural characterization we can do. And also there is another way is, so we can connect with Metlin and Mass Bank Lab. So there is a database, so we can identify with the exact mass and their fragmentation, so we can align with this. If they are very specific to that, we can characterize. Even new molecules also we can characterize. And this is the different stages we have captured thing. So what I was shown, so how the image has been developed. So these are the spectra in each thing. And you can see here, so this is the mass. If you can change the mass, each mass, see this particular mass is there here, and there is another mass is very specifically here. And also it's very interesting, and it will give very precise information where and all it is localized and what type of molecule it is localized. Okay. And so as I shown, so we can do a mass fragmentation and puzzle, so we can identify characterize the molecule. And based on that characterization as well as the CMS analysis, we have identified there are some 6 or 7 analogs which are not detected earlier. And we have identified, so one of the molecules, roitecaine, which is produced very high in the last stage of the fruit, and embryo is very high, and root and leaves produce very high. And you can see here the stage last matured stage produces very high abundant of molecules. And if you see here, this is one type of the, if you have any questions, so I can answer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohan Patelji, for such an inspirational, informative, and interesting lecture and sharing your novel and pioneer work with the audience and the participants. And really, we can know how you have demonstrated that the ICT and technologies, they are just serving the humanity, especially in the biotechnology and molecular level. So thank you so much, sir, for sparing your valuable time for this pertinent webinar. And hopefully this association will go long, and we will invite in our upcoming webinars. So thank you so much, sir, and we wish best of luck to your pioneering novel work and that you are undertaking, and best of luck for this great work you are doing over there in Bengaluru. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now, and question answer, we have the time, maybe after some time, after, when the resource person will speak. After that, we have the question and answer session. Now this is the time to shift the webinar toward the social aspects. The first keynote address was toward the engineering, then the second molecular biology and the biotechnology. Now we will just shift this webinar toward the social sciences. And of course, the ICT is incomplete without the morality, and we can say the Gandhian way of the application of the ICT. And we have a noble personality today with us. That is Mr. Christian Bartov, President Gandhi Information Center, who has joined, who has connected from Berlin, Germany. And we know it was very early, but we are really thankful whenever we request on a very short notice. Dr. Christian Bartov, he is always with us. So thank you and welcome, sir. And before I invite Dr. Christian Bartov, I will request, as usual, Dr. Maruf for the brief introduction of Dr. Christian Bartov. Dr. Maruf.
Good afternoon to one and all. Dr. Christian Bartol is a political and educational scientist, postgraduate and graduated with 2 university diploma, 1986 and 1987, departments of educational and political sciences, Free University Berlin, Germany. And recently he has completed doctorate. He has visited India, Israel, Russia, and several other European countries. He has served as a counselor for conscientious objectors and director of the Peace Education Media Center for the Protestant Church Districts in Berlin, Spandau in Germany, and the Ecumenism Center for Ecology, Peace, and One World in Berlin, Spandau. He has contributed to international conferences on conscientious objections and civilian peace services in Belgium, France, Turkey, Russia, Greece, Belarus, Belgium, Italy, and to contributions to international conferences on Leo Tolstoy and Mahatma Gandhi, Tolstoy and Ecology, Society Moscow, then Institute for Philosophy, Russian Academy of Sciences, Moscow, in Russia, in East to West, a dialogue between civilizations, Russian pupils, Friendship University, Moscow, Russia, and 1995, Gandhi and the 21st Century Gandhi Peace Foundation, Gujarat, Vidyapath Institute of Gandhian Studies, New Delhi, Wada, India, in 1998. Tolstoy and World Literature, Leo Tolstoy is Museum Yasnaya Paulina in Russia in 2000. He has many books published in English and German languages. Dr. Christian Bertolf, President, Gandhi Information Center, Berlin, Germany. Now I welcome Dr. Christian Bertolf to discuss his views and ideas among different participants of UT of Jammu and Kashmir, India, and the foreign countries. Please.
Yes, thank you very much. Maybe you will allow me to share my camera. Is it okay? So otherwise, you just listen to my voice. I'm very honored to be invited to this excellent topic, information and communication technology, COVID-19 pandemic, and would like to share some slides, if possible. But it doesn't seem possible, so then I just give a lecture. So, you know, it's our habit and custom and maybe duty to start with observing the United Nations International Day, which is the World Refugee Day, 20th of June. And if you look at the website, which I would like to share with you now, but it's not possible, I give you the link in the chat. I gave some links in the chat. Then you might see that the fate of refugees in the world is linked with experience of COVID-19. The shared experience of COVID-19 has showed us that we only succeed if we stand together. Together, we heal, learn, and shine. We have all had to do our part to keep each other safe, and despite the challenges, refugees and displaced people have stepped up. And the greater inclusion of refugees in health systems, schools and sport is called for. Only by working together can we recover from the pandemic. So right from the start, it was, oh, that's interesting. So now you see the Refugee Day site, that's fine. And now I start my presentation, which you see now. And you see, I give you first some photos. This is Gandhi writing as we know him. You know, the collected works of Mahatma Gandhi, 100 volumes. And we will see the connection of our conference's topic with Mahatma Gandhi's heritage. It's a very close and also crucial connection. So it's about communication and disease. So this is how we know Gandhi: writing, letters, articles, books. But this is also Gandhi examining leprosy bacteria with a microscope in his fight against leprosy as part of the constructive program. And this is also Gandhi on the phone, a great communicator. And as you and me all of us know that his phone calls have not been recorded, all of them, and not been documented. But there are also cables and telegrams. This is what I was reminded of. This is one example. It's the cable of the governor of Bombay, referring to Dundee, 6th April 1930. This morning, accompanied by about 2,000 persons, Gandhi bathed in the sea. Afterwards, he and his party picked up pieces of salt near his house, declaring the salt law broken. Later, batches of 5 or 6 fetched seawater, which it is understood is to be boiled in large sugar boiling receptacles as his care. But salt confiscated. So this was a great success and a visible demonstration of emancipation and liberation, followed by Gandhi's arrest. Another telegram. But it could not stop this campaign of right against might. But March reminded me of the Epic March, 1913, crossing the borders between Natal and Transvaal. That was the first public demonstration of crossing the borders of codified law just to gain right to abolish the £3 tax and to emancipate. It was for the Indian and Asian communities in South Africa. And this was the team: Sonja Schlesien, Hermann Kallenbach, and Gandhi. Hermann Kallenbach, the architect, Gandhi and Tolstoy both deeply interested in the teachings of Buddha and Tolstoy. And Sonja Schlesien, teacher later, they all were activists in this epic march, and they communicated by cables. And how did I know? Because you know, I worked. Now you can unshare the screen, possible, because I worked for several years at the first biography on Hermann Kallenbach, Mahatma Gandhi's friend in South Africa. And I built up the archive, all the cables and telegrams and letters collected. Now you find them in the National Archives in New Delhi in India, but then they were all distributed on 2 flats. So I held some of these cables and telegrams in my hand, and I asked myself, they are included in the collected works of Mahatma Gandhi, but why don't people understand the nature of a telegram as a communication, condensed form, focusing on the essential? But now, while being asked to give a contribution to this conference, I also referred to Gandhi's activity with reference to health against diseases like smallpox or Bubonic Plague. And as we know, Gandhi was a stretcher bearer, but he was also active for hygiene and sanitation work. And his stress was on awareness against fear and ignorance of a disease, in favor of precautions and prevention and hygiene methods. And if you start to read the collected works of Mahatma Gandhi, particularly volume 11 and 12, the years 1912, 1913, you find something astonishing. Among the sequels in Indian opinion, there is one which is titled General Knowledge About Health, from 4th of January 1913 to 16th of August 1913 in 34 parts. And some of these parts of the sequel refer explicitly to vaccination and to the Bubonic Plague and to smallpox. So what I will do now is refer to these texts we can find in the collected works of Mahatma Gandhi, just to give you an impression of Gandhi's attitude. And so there will be two references to scientific articles which are quite interesting for the background. And I give you the link first. This is one article on the pneumonic plague in Johannesburg, South Africa, 1904. I give this link now in the chat. And also the title, it's written in 2018. So let us find out. Everything works. Yes. And I give you the second paper, which is called Johannesburg and its Epidemics. Can we learn from history? November 2020. This is quite interesting. This is a PDF file you can download. And here you see clear references that the epidemics and plagues were related to the effects of the Second Boer War and of the British segregation policy. Because there was an outbreak of bubonic plague in Johannesburg in 1904, but also of smallpox in 1912. And Gandhi referred to the second and to the first two. And I want to give you the references. But first I add in the chat the title of this, very interesting article. So I gave you this PDF file link. So if you open this PDF file, you find Johannesburg's epidemics and pandemics, starting with the so-called Russian flu, smallpox outbreak of 1893, measles epidemics in the internment camps. This is related to the Boer War, 1901, 1902, but also the pneumonic plague of 1904, followed by some more epidemics. This is a very good basic work. And if you open page 222, then you find it's a page 25 and the following, particularly 26 and 27. You find this very interesting reference that on the one hand the camps, but also the segregation policy was responsible for the outbreak And you can also find this trace in the collected works themselves. Go to volume 11 and just listening to Gandhi on page 304. There you find the reference to smallpox in Johannesburg. And this is related to fixed locations. That means racial segregation policy against colored people, Malays, Indians, Cape Coloreds, and Chinese. And then there was the plan to build ghettos. But actually, this was the source of the disease. So, if you go then to the first part of the sequel of Gandhi, you find his philosophy on health. There is a saying in English, prevention is better than cure. The bund should be built before the flood expresses a similar idea. Taking steps to prevent disease is, in English, termed hygiene. In Gujarati, it may be called Arogya Samrakshan Shastra. This science is distinct from medicine, though some take it to be a branch of medicine. My only reason for mentioning this distinction is that the means for the care of health will be described in these chapters. Milton, the English poet, has observed that both heaven and hell exist only in the mind of man. Milton wrote, "The mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. Hell does not lie underneath the earth, nor heaven in the clouds." This idea appears in Sanskrit literature too. The mind is the cause at once of bondage, hell, and moksha, heaven. Pursuing this line of thought, we may argue that whether a person is ill or well, he is himself for the most part responsible. One falls ill owing to one's thoughts as well as one's deeds. Ignorance is also a great cause of broken health. A distinguished physician has remarked that more patients die of fear than of the plague or other diseases, saying that a coward dies without being dead deserves to be pondered over. It is the duty to discover the relation between the body and the mind is an exacting task, but everyone should consider it essential to have some idea of the normal working of the human body. This knowledge should also form part of the education given to children. So this was in the first sequel of General Knowledge About Health. This is the title. Now, if you go to volume 12, page 129, you find direct reference to the tumor fever, a terrible disease about infectious diseases. In English, it is called the Bubonic Plague. Hundreds of thousands have died of it in India since 1896. No remedy, preventive inoculation, and there are some suggestions of Gandhi. Among them, 5 and 6. The patient should lie in a place open to plenty of fresh air. And 6, except for one person, no one should be allowed to go near him. And he refers to cholera, and also to this historic example, the bubonic plague from 1904 in Johannesburg. This disease came to Johannesburg in 1904 and only 1 out of 23 cases survived. The temperature shoots up very high and the patient remains for the most part unconscious. Recovery from this cholera, literally deadly fever, recovery from this deadly fever is rare. Then he refers to the precautions, the diet, but also burning of excrements of dead patients, so hygiene measures. And in the end, he says, finally, when any of these infectious diseases occurs, neither the patient nor his friends and relatives should lose courage. With fear, the patient will succumb much sooner, and his relatives and others as well will be in danger of catching the infection. So now coming back to the last part of the sequel, page 165, volume 12. And here Gandhi again writes, all religions have looked upon this body as a place where one may meet and recognize God. It is called the house of the Lord. It has been leased to us, all the rent we have to pay being praises of the masters. Another condition in the rent note is that we must not misuse it. It should be kept clean and pure inside and out and returned to the master in due course in the same condition in which it came to us. If all the conditions are duly fulfilled, the master will reward us at the end of our tenure and will make us his heirs. All living creatures have bodies alike in their design, in that they have organs for hearing, sight, smell, and pleasure. But the human body has been described in prose and verse as a Ratnachintamani. The term signifies a jewel which secures to one anything one may wish for. By means of the body, we practice 1,000 things which we would do better to avoid: cunning, self-indulgence, deceit, stealing, adultery, etc. Its desires are endless. Even when they are all gratified, it's so like a glass bangle that it has less strength to resist a blow than has a broken vessel. It is destroyed in an instant. And he ends his reference to the struggle, the desperate struggle of Satan against God for the mastery over the body. And it says, in the end, quite interesting. Where there is real health, there alone is true happiness possible. And in order to achieve real health, we must conquer the palate. If we succeed in this, all other organs will be automatically under our control. And one who has this body under control can subdue the world, because such a one becomes God's heir, a part of him. Rama is not in the Ramayana, nor Krishna in the Gita. Kuda is not in the Quran, nor Christ in the Bible. They all live and have their being in the purity of human conduct, which springs from morality. Morality consists in truth, which is the same as Shiva. Shiva here, meant by Gandhi, is the god of austerity and self-mastery in the Hindu trinity. Morality consists in truth, which is the same as Shiva. And we just wanted to give a glimpse of this truth in these chapters, 34 chapters about health. So, and the lessons he learned, he's summarized in a letter, page 366, volume 12. And this letter is to Rajouri Patel from Cape Town. First, we should have compassion on ourselves as on all creatures, looking on them as one, and draw back in alarm from destruction of life for any purpose of ours. Second, we should cherish no fond attachment for the body and have no fear whatever of death. And third, we should strive for moksha right now, knowing that the body is all too apt to let us down. And the last lesson he drew from this discourse on health is written in a fragment of letter which you find on page 396 of volume 12 from March 22, 1940. Gandhi writes, "Everything is transient except the Atman. Not only should we keep reminding ourselves of this, but we should work on accordingly. The more I reflect, the more insistently I feel the supreme importance of truth and brahmacharya. The latter, together with all other rules of morality, is comprehended in truth. I cannot help thinking, however, that brahmacharya is important enough to share the place of honor with truth. It is my unshakable faith that these two can conquer any obstacle whatever. The real obstacles are the evil desires of the mind. If, for our happiness, we depend in no way on our outward relations with others, we would always think of what we ought to do rather than of what people might say." So, I would, in the end, like to give you an example of this condensed, very condensed form of communication in a masterpiece of a cable to the Hindu, this famous publication, Cable to the Hindu, Johannesburg, July 6, 1940. After all has been finished. After years of non-violent resistance in South Africa. So Gandhi cabled, "The final settlement of passive resistance completed, ending 8 years' continuous struggle. Passive resistance submission entirely met by legislative and administrative measures as required. Spirit of justice prevailed ministers' speeches and debates in both houses. For this honorable result, though reached principally through sufferings of thousands of resistors, by way of quickening South African conscience, community is deeply grateful to Imperial Indian and Union governments and also Indian people under Gokhale's guidance, and to Andrews and Pearson's mission. If above spirit continues to pervade administration, existing laws, no fear revival of trouble." That's amazing. And actually, if you remember the peak, the peak of the resistance, 5,000 on strike, of whom 4,000 have to be fed, including 300 women and 600 children. 300 are in jail, and 200 more have been arrested. 1,500 strikers at Charleston, and the rest are gathering. All this in a cable to Gokhale. And in the end, where did it come from? Where did it start? This is nearly 100 in jail, nearly 2,000 laborers, families indentured at pre and natal collieries on strike. Strikers will resume work when government promises repeal. It ends in this word, no force or retaliation used, despite provocation, often amounting assault. No force or retaliation. This cable to Gokale is another masterpiece of condensed information. And you see these cables and telegrams also to the authorities should be examined closer, because Gandhi formulated his program in a nutshell, on the one hand to the authorities, on the other hand to his political friends and collaborators. So this is my contribution to your conference, and in effect, there should be more awareness of our global responsibility for communicating with each other in the times of climate change and all the catastrophes combined with, and also, also the relation between pandemics and biological weapons, which you find referred to in this scientific article from Emerging Infectious Diseases, which I gave you the link. And I am very grateful for your kind invitation, Dr. Shokrasa. Very nice of you. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful, eye-opening and brainstorming speech. In fact, you have linked Mahatma Gandhi not only pertaining to non-violence, but his great compassion toward fighting the disease and epidemics after that time. And how beautifully you have explained the relation between the body and soul, and then you linked the COVID-19 and biological warfare, and I think there is the climate change, all the aspects so beautifully have with the that is the topic of our today's international webinar. So thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation for this pertinent webinar, and hopefully that we will continue to discover you every now and then for the upcoming events, and to inspire lectures. And I secure the knowledge and compassion and the passion toward the humanity and non-violence and peace. Thank you so much. And now this is the time to invite another wonderful resource person from Middle East, and I mean to say, and that is Dr. Munir Karama. Dr. Munir Karama, Assistant Professor, Palestine Polytechnic University. He is Assistant Professor of Applied Mathematics, Palestine Polytechnic University, Hebron, Palestine. So before I invite Dr. Munir Karama, I will request Dr. Maruf Khan to introduce Dr. Karama, and then he will give his address. Please, Dr. Maruf.
Good afternoon. Dr. Munir Karama is an assistant professor, Department of Applied.
You have to unmute.
Palestine.
Dr. Maruf, you have to unmute.
Thank you. Good afternoon to one and all. Dr. Munir Karama is an assistant professor, Department of Applied Mathematics, Palestine Polytechnic University, University, Hebron, Palestine. He obtained his PhD in mathematics education from Institute of Arab Research and Studies at Cairo, Egypt, as a partial scholarship in 2009. He published more than 20 research papers in peer-reviewed journals and attended more than 20 international conferences. Dr. Karma is currently the director of graduate higher diploma in education program in mathematics, physics, chemistry, technology, and engineering at Palestine Polytechnic University. Besides that, he is in 2019, 2020, and 2021 academic ambassadors of STEM in the New York Academy of Sciences. He has participated in many programs in capacity buildings of school and university teachers, such as leadership development and teachers from 2012 to 2018, funded by Admist East Limited Model School that 2009 to 2011, funded by a British MSN Leading for the Future 2011, funded by UNRWA and many more. Thank you. And now I request Doctor to please share your research findings among the participants from India and abroad.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me in this nice conference. I would like to thank Dr. Ashik Malik for his support and his time and effort to let me share this article. Also, I would like to welcome my colleagues from Palestine, Palestine Al-Khatib. She is a school supervisor in West Bank. You are welcome, and all of the audience, you are welcome. My presentation will be about the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics and the Ministry of Telecom and Information Technology issue a joint press release on the eve of the World Telecommunication and Information Society, 17 of the May 2021. Palestine, as you know, all the world was convicted by a pandemic, COVID-19. So Palestinians should respond to this COVID-19 pandemic to accelerate digital transformation in this challenging time. As all of you know, the COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the crucial role of technology necessary to ensure the continued functioning of society in different fields, in health, in agriculture, in industry, in education. So the year 2021 holds the theme of accelerating digital transformation in challenging times, calling on all countries to take advantage of information and communication technology, ICT, to develop digital literacy for all the nations. As you see in the slide, this data was collected from 2017 to until now. Data of the Palestinian Housing and Establishment Census, which is began in 2017, indicated that the number of the establishment working in the ICT sectors accounted for 1,008 establishment out of the total economic operating establishment of 158,573, where this sector employed around 9,200 employee or person. As you see, the COVID-19 Business Plus survey result in Palestinian during the period of 5th of March to 31 of May 2020 indicate that 90% of the information communication sectors establishment reported that the sales production size has decreased during the 3 months of the lockdown by 54% when compared with the normal situation. The result also indicated that 69% of operating establishment in the information and communication sectors. The precise result was 92% in the West Bank and 36%, which is the lowest, in the Gaza Strip, were closed, of course, for many days due to the restriction measures taken by the government during the mentioned period. So the COVID-19 Business Plus survey result in Palestine during the period from 5th of March 2020 to 31 of May 2020 indicate that 13% of the establishment started using or having increased the use of the internet, online social media network, specialized applications or digital platform in response to the COVID-19 outbreak. In comparison, the primary use of the digital solution was for marketing with 69%, 53% for business and administrations, and 40% for service delivery. The same census, the result of the impact of COVID-19 pandemic coronavirus in the social economic condition of Palestinian household survey during the period 23 August 2020 to 31 December 2020 indicated that 84% of the households that have children in the age of 4 to 18 years in Palestine, their children participated in education activities, online education, during the period. 81% in West Bank and 87% in Gaza Strip. The household survey result on information and communication technology, ICT 2019, showed that 33% of the household own a computer such as desktop, laptop, or tablet in Palestine, 36 in the West Bank, and 29 in the Gaza Strip. As you can see, this is a formal data, and it's very, very low comparing with India or comparing with the United States or to any country in the world. At the same time, the percentage of individuals, such as 18 years and above, who use the computer from any location was 22% in Palestine, 21% in the West Bank, 23% in Gaza Strip. The household survey result also in information and communication technology 2019 showed that 80% of households in Palestine have internet access in 2019, 84% in West Bank, 73% in Gaza Strip. Moreover, the percentage of the individuals 18 years and above who use the internet from anywhere reached 72% in Palestine and 76% in West Bank, 67% in Gaza Strip. Finally, more olds who are currently enrolled in education, in the pandemic and on the courses online in universities and higher education, and have internet access at home, increased above 86% in Palestine, 91% in the West Bank, and 78% in Gaza Strip. Some donation from the international world contribute to let no child or no student left behind in Palestine, but also it's not enough because we're suffering more and more and more because of this COVID and because of occupation. In contrast, the percentage of household in the individuals from 18 to 24 years old who are currently enrolled in education and have internet service at home increased to 93% in Palestine, 96 in West Bank, and 89 in the Gaza Strip. You know that Palestinians give education high rank, and they don't eat or drink water, and just let their children to pursue and to go in education. Finally, before I summarize my presentation, all of you knew exactly Palestine under occupation, and we have no free on ICT. It was limited and restricted and controlled by bad occupation. We know we need all your help, all the world to help us to free our country, and we are the only country in the world who are under the occupation in this 21st century. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Manin Rama, for such excellent presentation and sharing the case study about the Palestine and how the people using the information and communication and technologies to sustain their life. And you have beautifully said that the people, they can stay without the food and the water, but they cannot without the ICT. And this shows how the ICT is important. Even when everything is working in the, we can say, conflict or the pandemic time, the ICT that is pulling out the humanity. So thank you, Dr. Munir Karama, for sharing your wisdom with the participants here in India and the rest of the world. So we are really thankful that you have accepted our invitation, and hopefully we will continue to invite you in the upcoming webinars. So thank you, Dr. Munir. Now the time to go to other continent, and that is Great Africa and West Africa. I mean to Nigeria, and from there we have a wonderful resource. Dharhal, associate professor the Department of Plant Pathology, and that is the Government Medical College of the Ahmed Bello Hospital, Zaira, Nigeria. So before I invite Dr. Waziri Garba, I will ask Dr. Maru to introduce Dr. Waziri.
Good afternoon. Dr. Garbo Waziri, Associate Professor, Department of Pathology and Morbid Anatomy, Ahmedabad University and Ahmedabad University Teaching Hospital, Zaire, Nigeria. 2017 Fellow International College of Surgeons. He also achieved in 2014 postgraduate College of Nigeria, MBS, Medicine University, Nigeria. In 1990, MCE certificate, Science Secondary School, the working primary school certificate, PG Special Primary School, Kano, then working experience with dates in 2020. In 2020, Kano State COVID-19 Coordinator under in Nigeria. In 2019, Medical Director and Head of COVID-19 Isolation Center, Mohammed Buhari Specialist Hospital, Kano. In 2014, up to date, consultant pathologist, Abu Zaira, training of residents, doctor, and medical students in pathology and In 2014, Fellow in National Postgraduate Medical College, Nigeria. And 2006 to 2009, Senior Registrar and Lecturer, Department of Histopathology, Abu Dhabi. 2004 to 2006, Medical Officer in Pediatric Emergency Unit, Accident and Emergency Unit, Mortala Muhammad Specialist Hospital, Kanu. In 2003 to 2004, Post Officer, Department of Medicine, Surgery, Pediatrics, Obstetrics and Gynecology in Usmanu, Danfordia University Teaching Hospital. Currently an Associate Professor of Pathology, Ahmedabad University, Dharhal. With these words, I request Dr. Garbu Dahiri Waziri, Associate Professor of Department of Pathology, please share your views and research to participants from India and abroad.
Thank you very much. Am I free to share my... Okay.
Yes, please. Dr. Tariq, please. Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. Let's see. Is it showing? Hello, is my slide showing, please?
To me, it's not visible, but please, other can give the feedback.
It is not visible.
Okay, let me try again.
Tariq sir, if it doesn't work, you collect that, PPT and show it from your side.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it's working.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it is starting now. That's good.
Yeah. So, I'll be talking on ICT and COVID-19 in Africa, challenges and opportunity. As we all know, information and communication technology encompasses a modern way that is used to aid electronic capture, processing, storage, and dissemination of information, whether in numerical, textual, audio, or visual format. It's an important driver for socio-economic development and global participation and competitiveness, and ultimately leading to growth. We know that the population of Africa is more than 1 billion, which represents a significant portion of the world population. And ICT is a vital tool to release the creative potential and knowledge embedded in her people. Most of the great strides in terms of socio-economic development, the African continent continues to lag behind economically behind the most developed countries. Increasing our understanding of the possibilities and limitations of ICT and how to promote its adaptation in Africa will benefit the people of Africa and the world in general. According to Council on Foreign Relations report in 2019, prior to COVID-19, there were about 525 million internet users in Africa, 447 million in Latin America and Caribbean, 328 million users in North America, and 174 million users in the Middle East. About 40% of all Africans were online in 2019, but usage varies from country to country. In Kenya, it was about 83%, in South Africa, 56%, and in Nigeria, it's about 60%. However, Nigeria is much bigger in population than any other African country, and it still comprises about 20% of all African internet users. Though Africa is behind only Asia and Europe in absolute number of internet users, it lags behind every other region in population in proportion of internet users. The good news, simply put, is that 40% of all Africans have access to some sort of internet. On the continent in which, by and large, newspapers are expensive, telephone lines are either underdeveloped or even non-existent, And most people have traditionally needs. They have traditional needs from either radio or broadcasting from local languages. So internet provides the easiest means to get news. With the coming of the COVID-19 pandemic presently, what is undoubtedly one of the greatest challenges ever faced by the international community and humanitarian organizations, there have already been a major consequences for the world's poor and vulnerable in terms of direct impact of the public health crisis on health and mortality, indirect impacts on social, economic, and political system. Obviously, there was complete halt in economic growth, developmental pathways occasioned by stringent measures such as the lockdown, which were taken by some nations globally to contain the spread of the disease. Consequently, these affected income with more adverse effect on the most vulnerable population of the society. The health crisis caused by COVID-19 has resulted to scarcity in food supply, loss in employment, livelihood, income and payment, and also causes high mortality and morbidity. This goes to show that COVID-19 pandemic is well beyond the health hazard and human consequences. These economic uncertainties and disruption of goods and supplies or services delivery leads to significant cost to global economy. However, a consolation has been taken by most central bank of most of the developing countries in trying to cushion the effect of COVID-19. Since the lockdown was meant to reduce the spread of virus through physical contact, the global economy has taken advantage of ICT infrastructure in providing health and social services, remote sensitization, and awareness campaign on reality and impact of this pandemic. Most of the governments in different nations from time to time believe they are still using various channels of communication through the electronic media. Various social media platforms were used to keep people and family together to sustain business by public and private institutions. In fact, ICT became the lifeline holding whatever remains in the world economy. There were no need to examine the influence of ICT in Africa, especially during the economic lockdown. Its consequences continue to maintain even after the pandemic. The uses of ICT during the pandemic in Africa. ICT uses in the health sector. We all know that on March 13, 2020, a video conference was held between the health officials and professionals from China and their counterparts from 17 Central and Eastern European countries on prevention and control of ICT. That's the picture showing those participants and the rest of the world. In essence, what it shows that ICT has been used to champion means of communication and dissemination of information. One area of ICT in healthcare in the fight against the spread and treatment of coronavirus is the use of remote sensors. An area of ICT in healthcare in the fight against spread and treatment of coronavirus is the use of remote healthcare and patient monitoring devices or technologies that are being used by medical personnel to fight the pandemic globally. For instance, in Israel, several remote healthcare and potential healthcare and patient monitoring devices were developed, one of which is a clipboard sensor, which can be embedded in mattress to monitor sleep, critical signs, and motion to assist health personnel in early detection of patient declining health status, which is developed by Early Sense. Another one is speech analysis technology, which was adopted to provide remote monitoring and diagnosis of COVID-19 patients based on voice sample. This technology is developed by Cardio Medical. A voice-based test study also launched by Vocalis Health was used to triage, screen and monitor for symptoms of novel coronavirus and others in other developing countries. The use of other medium for consultation, for example, the social media, phone calls, WhatsApp has also been used, especially in this part of Africa. We all know that during the pandemic, a lot of people were scared to actually go to the clinic so that they will not get infected. So a lot of social media platforms were being used to consult and examine patients so that we can triage and see those that actually need care, so that they can be picked up. ICT on contact tracing of patient and other contacts after getting infected with COVID-19 has also been used. ICT has been used in managing patients that are COVID-19 positive, but asymptomatic, where they are monitored usually via video calls, WhatsApp, and phone calls. Conferences, especially medical conferences, have also been undertaken using ICT. A very important example is this conference that we are having. Ideally, we should all be in India having this conference, but here we are using an ICT method. This is one of those conferences attended. The use of ICT during the pandemic, application for contact tracing has been developed. For example, Oxford University, who researched digital contact tracing, stated that their contact tracing mobile app can halt the spread of epidemic if nearly 60% of the UK population uses the app. Globally, various mobile apps to aid contact tracing in the fight against spread of the COVID-19 pandemic has been rolled out. A report credited to Singapore official has it that in mid-April, an approximately 1/5 of populace downloaded the contact tracer app, the Trace Together app of the country, just a month after it was made public, and it helps in curtailing the spread of the infection. In Australia, they have similar app which is called COVID Safe app. So also in the United States, we have the Keynote mobile app. One other important challenge that we have during the pandemic, not only in Africa, all over the world, is about food security. We know that in Africa, with the stay-at-home order, in most of the places, most of the people in developing countries across the world were experiencing serious hunger crisis, since majority live on daily income for their survival. In Nigeria, within 2 weeks of the implementation of the lockdown order, an alarming situation threatening the life of the larger population of people who were living under poverty line was noticed. Most of them even end up calling the the pandemic as a hunger virus because there is no food to eat. So in order to arrest the situation, government, private organization, and other individuals provided support to those poor people, in which they distributed food items into their houses. However, in some places like Vietnam, innovative ICT methods were developed in which an ATM-like machine was used to distribute food. ICT is useful in distribution of food. In the fight against COVID-19, one strategy that has proven to be successful in containing the spread of the virus is social distancing, and a lot of other apps have been developed. Even though millions of people stay at home due to the stay-at-home policy implementation by government of nations and the world flattening the curve, there was still some group of people who were given a work permit because of the nature of their work. In Nigeria, we have those groups that encompasses doctors, pharmacies, security agents, and whatever. So generally, technology was used to supplement the activities of those people. That's under technology in use here. You can see the dispersion of people. Whenever people come together, you see those two dots, identifying that at least they are in contact with each other. So that essence of the distance of 6 feet can be monitored using ICT. So in order to help this group of workers who are in manufacturing, medical, pharmaceutical, media, and security sector, an artificial intelligence powered tool that can analyze real-time events to check whether there is social distancing, as you can see here, has been deployed. ICT sector also provided opportunity for job creation during the pandemic. A lot of items for essential living were provided by upcoming marketing companies. We all know that in Africa we have those small companies that actually supply essential items to your house, drugs and whatever, by just clicking on their app. The principle of work at home also encourages a lot of people to utilize the ICT platform to achieve their companies and organizational objectives. Meeting conferences has also been conducted using the ICT. Here in the picture, you can see the president of Nigeria having a conference with his task force on COVID-19. Not only in medical line, ICT has also been used in educational line. We all know that in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, educational institutions around the world were closed. According to United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, about 1 billion students and youth around the world are affected by closure of schools and universities. Many countries and school systems globally are adopting electronic learning methods. They are using available and affordable ICT infrastructure, online classes, educational conferences, and seminars. Some were using virtual teaching platforms and Zoom systems. However, despite the growing demand for distance education in this critical time, the choice of form of ICT infrastructure that can be effectively deployed by nations and organizations around the world to have wider reach among populations has become an issue of serious concern. There are some ICT infrastructure that are most common in supporting e-learning and are basically for radio, television, mobile apps, or phones, and the internet learning. In this age and time, where the world has gone with digital, radio broadcasting lessons are still being used for distance learning purposes and serve as the quickest option to continue schooling. For instance, during the first sit-at-home order, state governments in Nigeria and other African countries use radio lessons to conduct distance learning for students in secondary schools. Television, on its part, is being used by most countries with some states, especially governments in Nigeria, using this medium to hold distance learning for students during the COVID pandemic. We can actually see some of those students having lessons. What are the challenges and opportunities? The challenges are high cost of internet services in Africa compared to other developed countries. It was found out that poor computer literacy level among teachers and students, depth of ICT skilled personnel, inadequate ICT infrastructure, and lack of funds, among others, are the major challenges of ICT education in Nigeria and Africa. Other problems are high cost of getting, installing, operating, maintaining, and replacing ICT system, use of unlicensed software, outdated software and hardware, lack of technical support for maintenance of the system. There are so many opportunities. The population, the talent, and everything is there in Africa. So we are looking for investors. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Waziri Garba, for such a wonderful presentation and how a comprehensive knowledge you have given about COVID-19 and use of ICT during this pandemic, especially in Nigeria and Africa. So it was a pleasure and honor for us. You are being a part of this pertinent international conference. So thank you so much, Dr. Waziri, for sparing your invaluable time. And today was Sunday, you have other activities, but thank you so much for accepting our invitation. We are highly obliged. Now, at last but not least, we have another wonderful speaker, Dr. Mudassar Manzoor Kirmani, Senior Assistant Professor and Scientist, Department of Computer Science,
Sher-e-Kashmir Agriculture University, Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir, India. Before I invite Dr. Mudassir Kirmani, I will request Dr. Maruf Khan for a brief introduction about the speaker. Dr. Maruf.
Good afternoon.
Maruf, you have, yeah, please. You have two devices.
Dr. Mudassir Kirmani, Assistant Professor from Junior Scientist, Sher-e-Kashmir University of Science and Technology of. As far as his career is concerned, from 2002 to 2020, in 2002 to 2003, he is working as senior lecturer from manager projects in Graduate School of Business and Administration, Greater Noida, NCR. Then from 2004 to June 2005, he was working as assistant professor in Mandalay Institute of Management and Technology, Greater Noida, India. Then from 2005 to 2006, he was working as assistant professor in IT and systems at Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, New Delhi, India. From 2006 to 2010, he was working as lecturer in computer sciences at Ministry of Education, European Institute of Technology and Teacher Education, Eritrea and Africa. From 2010 to till date, he is working as assistant professor cum junior scientist at Sher-e-Kashmir University of Sciences and Technology of Kashmir, India. As far as his publication and other information is concerned, he has published 2 books and 12 books in reputed journals of international importance. He has also published 37 papers in reputed journals. Besides that, he has also published a paper in referred journal at level. Besides that, he also published 4 paper in the reputed conferences, symposia proceedings. Besides other articles published in conferences and different leading lectures are invited talks in different conferences at the national and international level. He was also a editorial board members in 12 different societies and also attended 2 international lectures. Besides these, he has so many different experiences in research and other activities of ICT. With these words, I request Dr. Mudassir Kirmani, please share your views among the different participants from UT, India and abroad. Please, sir, Dr. Mudassir Kirmani, please, sir.
Thank you, sir, for this opportunity wherein I'll be interacting with you. I would love to start with a statement. Is there any problem? Or am I audible, sir?
Yeah, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. My screen is visible?
Yes, sir, your screen is actually.
Thank you, sir. I would first of all like to start with a single statement wherein I do feel that I am supposed to start at a time wherein people might be feeling a bit bored because it has been a long session and you must be feeling hungry for your lunch. Therefore, I am between you and your lunch. So with this short note, though you have heard from a good number of well-known and learned speakers, they have given you an idea of ICT and how it has been used in different domains. My objective in this session will be that I'll give you an idea of what ICT is, and then after that I'll show you a case wherein I'll explain you that how I tried my level best to reach out to the student community during these tough times of COVID-19. So let me start first with how often do we use these technologies? Like when I say social networking, I do say that if we are around about 60 to 70 people right now attending this conference, so there might be 90 to 95% of the people who might be using Facebook or any other social networking platform. So that can be also treated as one of the tools, one of the platforms, which is an example of information and communication technology. Similarly, we do access internet, instant messaging, we do watch videos, live TVs, we do go for blogs, we do use university systems, we do upload videos, and a good number of features which are examples of information and communication technology. So if we look back towards last 5 to 10 years, we have been transiting from industrial age learning towards a digital age learning mode. So once we say that we are moving towards a digital age learning mode, now the way we perceive things, that slowly and gradually change. So keeping these things in mind, if we see the economy in a couple of decades, last decades, then it was initially information-based or ICT-based economy, wherein information was the building block. And that started getting changed into knowledge-based economy, wherein knowledge products, like once we have good number of information, we do develop knowledge. And based on that knowledge, now the present scenario is about competitive knowledge economy, wherein once you occur a stage wherein you're having knowledge, it's very important for us to maintain consistency and to be in a particular segment wherein we can give competition to our competitors and we can proceed with better innovations. So let's have a glimpse of what ICT can be. We generally perceive it as if once we have a computer, once we have a microphone, it is ICT. It doesn't mean that the only medium wherein we can say that this is ICT is a computer device. It can be any device. The main objective of ICT is using a technology and trying to communicate your ideas in such a fashion that the other person who is receiving it is able to receive in the same fashion as you are trying to communicate it. So therefore, if you are using radio as a medium, a television, a telephone, or a computer network or hardware, software put together, it can help you in communicating your message to the other part of the audience. How can we put ICT where it helps us? So I can say it like, if I go back to my slide and let me switch on a pen over here so that I can highlight it. So if you check out this, that the ICT is helping us in reducing the digital divide. So once we remove these barriers, once we reach out to the people, once we reach out to those people whom are very far off from us, we are trying to reduce this digital divide. And it has helped us in reinventing our business process. It can be a process that we are following in academics. So whatever process we follow, it has helped us in reinventing it so that we can improve our efficiency and effectiveness. Then similarly, it has helped us in designing, or rather I should say redesigning, social protection programs. And this has helped us to reach to the people whom are very far off from us, whom were not accessible to a particular limit. But now we are able to reach to people because once the society and each and every segment of the society gets empowered, we all are empowered as a result. So ICT cannot be treated as a magical box. It is rather a communication technology, which with the help of information systems and certain technologies is helping us to reach out to people, to communicate our message to the audience. Then if we put it like this, that there are different segments which we do put as segments of ICT. It generally corresponds of the technology, and it corresponds of the information based on what that technology works on. it can be put as the ICT is having, it's a process of purposeful activity wherein the providers, from the provider's side, then a user should be able to understand it. That is from the user's side. So all those components put together is supported by a strong information system wherein we are having data stored, relevant data stored, which is used to retrieve information. Let's see certain advantages of ICT. It has helped us to reach out to any part of the globe. So globalization, communication has been a very good and effective tool of this ICT. Cost effectiveness is there. And as far as higher education is concerned, it has revolutionized the concept of education. It has revolutionized the way we have moved from our conventional classes to the online classes, though there are disadvantages of that. I will be discussing it very soon. Then it has helped us in improving the quality of education. Then it has helped us in bridging the cultural gap. It has helped us in reducing the time that was taking in order to communicate with the people. Then it has helped us in sharing information, collection of information, accessing news from different segments across the globe, searching jobs, advertisements, entertainment, online education, results, ticketing, and online medical advice. Now, people have talked about these all advantages in previous sessions as well, but there are a good number of disadvantages as well in this ICT. Like one of the biggest problems that we face right now, that is the privacy. If you have heard about, there's a new concept which we are hearing from last couple of years, that's IoT, Internet of Things. You can connect a good number of devices all together, and then you can leverage from it. We say artificial intelligence, machine learning, and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, are we upholding the privacy of an individual? Like, let's suppose if I am in a session where I'm interacting with you, if I start recording, the ethical or netiquettes imbibe, the netiquettes that I imbibe, they do prompt me to ask the user whom are connected with me to seek permission from them. Should I record it? So once I start recording, I need to get their consent. So if somebody is switching on his or her camera, should I record that? So are we upholding the privacy of the people whom are connecting with us? Then isn't it becoming a dominant culture that a person who knows IT is having more dominance? So that's again a disadvantage of ICT, which we need to mitigate. That doesn't mean we should not promote the use of ICT. That we need to mitigate the impact of that. We need to avoid those segments which are treated as disadvantages of ICT. Then we have one more disadvantage, which are cyber attacks, wherein you might have heard about ransomware attacks, attacks with respect to your data, threats, security issues which do pop in once you are using different information and communication technology tools. Then one more disadvantage is immorality. Though ICT is one of the best tools, once a small kid who is studying in 3rd or 4th class is exposed to this whole arena of technology, how to put privacy controls on that. Like, let's suppose if you are asking a kid of 3rd class to watch his or her online classes, then suddenly he shifts towards YouTube and he's watching objectionable or immoral material on that. That's not good for the society. Therefore, what preventive measures you are taking? Like, one of the best tools can be that once you are giving your mobile phone to the kid who is studying in 3rd or 4th class, you need to put privacy control or parental control to that, so that the kid won't be able to surf those contents which are not appropriate at his age, his or her age. Then one more important component which needs to be taken care of is filtration of information. Are we getting independent information? Like, let's suppose you are accessing Google and you're searching for agriculture. The time you search for agriculture, Google will first check what is your location, from which location you are accessing this website. Now, Google will give you results based on the location. So don't you think it becomes more and more filtered information? If you are accessing Facebook, the more you like a particular objective, or the more you like a friend, or the more you like a post of a friend, Facebook will recommend you all those friends which are in the vicinity or in the friend list of that particular friend or that particular post that you have liked. So therefore, it becomes to some extent filtered information. So we need to check ourselves with respect to this, that do we have freedom of information when it comes to cyberspace? Do we get news which is not filtered, which is unbiased? And if you get an answer that the news that I am getting is biased, then we need to work out on that. This is a disadvantage of information and communication technology. Then one more question that we need to ask is, does it reduce or increase the employment opportunities? It does increase the employment opportunities, but the big question mark is, it does improve or increase the employment opportunity only and only for skilled manpower. Now, with due course of time, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, you will find that those persons who are having skills, they will be hired. And then we need to ask a question, that are we making, what about the job security of an individual with respect to the ICT, with respect to the usage of ICT? So you need, if you want that your job has to be secure, you need to update yourself on daily basis, on every hour basis, because this technology arena, this domain of technology is getting updated with every moment, with every second. Therefore, you need to keep yourselves very prompt with respect to the new developments of ICT. Now, let me put it like this. As we are in the educational domain, what are the expectations of students from this ICT? I'll put one example over here. That during this pandemic, we have seen a good number of students connecting to the live classes. But what was the result? At times, if you are having 10 students connected to your class, suddenly 2 of the students do leave the class. Reason might be the internet was not working. Reason might be they were not having a device to work out on. Or reason might be their parent was not at home so that they could have attended your class. So if, in other words, I must say over here, we are depriving certain individuals of that education that you are providing through live sessions to those people whom are not having access to technology, to those people whom are not having affordability of technology, to those people whom are not having access to internet. Therefore, what I thought of, I prepared all the sessions that I was supposed to take. I recorded small videos of those. And then I did put all of them together, which I'll be showing that website also at the end of my session, that how did I put all the sessions so that all of them, whosoever is having access to technology, whosoever is having access to technology at any time, at anywhere, so he can access to those sessions. So this live session connecting has become to some extent a bit, we can say, wherein people are feeling a bit stressed, because they are supposed to attend classes, they are supposed to attend long duration classes. So this live session is becoming more and more problematic for smaller kids. We need to work out a formidable solution wherein the time, the screen time, the live session time needs to be reduced a bit so that we can accommodate those students also whom can cope up with lesser duration time. So there are certain expectations with respect to that, which I would mention over here, that the flexible timing, ready to accommodate. Then as a teacher, what we should do as a mentor? We need to promote them. We need to be flexible. We should not be very rigid with respect to that. If I'm saying 9 o'clock is a class, though they should come to the class, but I should provide substitute methods to those whom have not attended that class or whom have not attended that session, so that everybody is empowered and it will help you in getting empowered. Now, these are the different perspectives of ICT. We need to get access. We need to improve our efficiency. The learning is there. Teaching is there. Skill formation is there. Then lifelong learning can be used. Like if I am at a particular stage wherein I am in the field of academics, I need to learn on everyday basis. Right now, using ICT, I'm having good option of going for online courses. Svm is one of the examples. Coursera is one of the examples wherein I can enhance my knowledge. I can plan my activities better, and I can manage, and I can communicate. I can connect to communities. I can reach to people. I can reach to those people who were not reachable prior to this intervention of ICT. Different ICT tools can be, you can use Microsoft Office, that can be also treated as one of the ICT tools. But there are a good number of tools which can help you in communicating, in recording videos, in reaching out to students, in involving with students so that they can start participating in your sessions, so that it will become more and more interactive sessions. Then different availabilities with respect to the tools of ICT. We do have emails, then we can have learning management systems like you have Google Classroom, which can be used as one of the effective tools for interacting with students. You can have Moodle also. Then you can use videos also to communicate with the students. You can create your own digital repository. Let's suppose you are taking a particular subject, you are recording 10 videos, you can have your own digital repository of those 10 videos. Then in next semester, you can add more videos to it. So with due course of time, 4 years, 5 years down the line, you will have a good number of videos collection with respect to the topic that you are discussing within different groups, within different domains. You can manage your repository, you can get feedback. Feedback is very important as far as digital content and digital learning is concerned. If you won't take feedback, your digital content will not improve with respect to the quality, with respect to the expectation of the future generations. Then you have to keep on improving your digital content, and then you have to maintain consistency as well. Now, in conclusion, what I'll say is ICT and e-learning offers opportunity to raise educational standards. Then it will help you in narrowing the digital divide. It will help you in involving all stakeholders, and it will help you in your higher education as well. Now, prior to showing you a case wherein I'll show you a collection of digital repository which was created in this pandemic, I would mention over here, the ultimate success of ICT for learning will be attained only when we stop marveling about the ICT and apply our minds and emotions to wonder to the wonders of learning. Now let me move back to the browser. I'll just start over here, one of the websites, so that I can show what I was mentioning in my session. This is one of the websites wherein you can see that the digital repository has been created using simple my Gmail account. And this creation of website is not something like programming. If a person knows how to create an email ID, he can create this website. It is simply copying text, creating text in your Word file and putting it on website. This site is available on sites.google.com. So if you can check out, this is the website for online courseware, and it is mentioned over here that it was created keeping in mind the pandemic situation. And like, let's suppose I'll say communication skills and personality development, though this is not my topic, but I have put all my videos over here. Process of communication, the video is available over here. The netiquettes, the videos are available over here. Then different ICT tools that we can use in presenting online, how we can record lectures. These all tools are available over here, and every text that you see over here is attached to the video. Then you can have group discussions on miscellaneous topics. You can have assessments. You can go to Google tutorial, like if you are interested in going and learning Google Classrooms, you can click on Google Classroom and you can see all the tutorials, how to create an examination, how to create a session, how to use different tools for creating Google Meet and all. So this will help you in learning those tools, then apply those tools. And once you apply those tools, it will help you in disseminating knowledge and reaching to the audience. My objective of this session was only to give you an idea of what ICT is. And one example, if you wish, I could have given you examples with respect to more resources that I have created. Not only me, but the whole team that was working on this. I hope that this session has been a learning experience. And to be very frank enough, I have learned a lot in these sessions, as very well said by Dr. Christine Bagdorf. That together we heal, learn, and shine. And in information and communication technology, we do always say sharing and caring will help you in improving or reaching to the audience, irrespective of boundaries, irrespective of their geographical location, provided the accessibility to internet becomes affordable and accessible. Thanks a lot for patiently hearing me. I hope I have not created more boredom for you. And I hope that learning has happened in this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mudassar Manzoor Kirbani Sahab, for an excellent presentation And of course, this webinar would have been not complete unless this aspect you have added in it. Of course, since morning we were discussing the different aspects of the ICTs, but how beautifully you have explained the challenges ICT has, as we can say that the ICT that is a good servant, but it could be the bad master. It can ruin the lives of the many people, especially who are new to the ICT. And what are the constraints of? It was we can say pertaining to or centered toward the real crisis of the students, especially during this pandemic time. So thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge with the participants, and we are highly thankful, we are highly obliged, and hope we will continue to we can say request you to share your knowledge in our upcoming webinars for the we can say country, and especially in this region of the UT of Jammu and Kashmir, that is Punjab.
Thank you
so much, Dr. Saab. Thank you. And now it's time for the question and answer session and the feedback and the remarks from the esteemed resource person and the patron of the this pertinent conference. So I will hand over the floor to Dr. Tariq Hussain, another organizing secretary of the conference, to please continue the proceedings for the question and hour and the feedback session. Dr. Tariq.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ashik Sahab. Good afternoon and Assalamu alaikum. So, question hour is open to all the participants. If anybody wants to put up any type of a questions, please. So, there is not any type of a question. I would like to call Dr. Namita Singh for feedback, please. Dr. Namita Singh, are you there?
Please introduce her college.
Yeah, Dr. Namita Singh is Assistant Professor of Computer Science, PGMM College, Jammu. Is he there? Okay. I call Professor Sarshad Hussain, Health Department Zoology, Government Degree College, Sunkot. Kindly share their ideas for feedback, please.
Thank you, Dr. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you.
Okay. Well, it's a privilege listening to so many, learned people today. I would like to extend my thanks to all the speakers of the day who, could understand the need of the hour and, were able to inform us and educate us about, the relevance of ICT with regards to medical sciences. And, because when we IT people speak about medical sciences, not many people connect with us, So, listening to all the learned speakers today, all I could see was that ICT is no way less defined when it comes to medical sciences, and especially with this pandemic, COVID-19, I believe it is our duty and our moral responsibility to contribute our bit. And listening to all the learned authors, I would like to extend my thanks to Dr. Tanveer, Dr. Mohana, Dr. Christian, Dr. Munir, Dr. Garba, and last but not the least, Dr. Mudassir. I hope I've spelled everybody right. the various presentations shown and the various concepts shown with regards to machine learning algorithms and their applications to biomedical data and other related fields, I would like to extend my thanks, and I would like to extend my thanks to the coordinating committee also and GDC Poonch for organizing such valuable webinars, and would look forward for many more such webinars, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Namita Singh. Anybody who wants to share his or her ideas? I think Professor Sarshad Hussain is there.
Yeah, give him time.
Head Department Zoology, Government Degree College, Surkot. Kindly share his ideas, your ideas, please.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I am audible?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yes, go ahead.
At the outset, I would like to thank all the organizing committee to provide me the opportunity for sharing my ideas. Before the learned speaker that have dealt the topic today, till now, I have nothing to say more. But with the talk of the Professor Mudassir, who has delivered a talk particularly with respect to the teaching challenges during the online mode during the COVID pandemic, I fully agree with him. And yes, the challenge that he has put over there with respect to the students, the stakeholders, the important stakeholders of any educational institutions, that whenever we are getting the class, we are not getting more than 50% of the attendance. The reasons he has already delivered in his rather discussed in his talk. In addition to it, I am at the being a teacher. I own the responsibility, and with the responsible words, I would like to say that yes, we being the teacher are again facing a great challenge, that how to meet out this problem, and particularly delivering the online is very, very difficult. I have seen some mathematicians, I have seen some physicists who were delivering the talk to the students online, but without sharing the screen. How it is possible? A mathematics, a physics, a chemist, a biologist, without sharing a diagram, without sharing anything, without doing anything online, and just delivering a talk like a politicians. Yes, we have to face these challenges. We have to overcome these challenges if we want to continue and if we want to retain our status in this modern society, in the current scenario. Another thing that I would like to share with all the learned teachers and the colleagues, like Dr. Mudassir has already shared. Yes, we have to create the resources which must be free and open. The world has changed now. Gone are the days when you have to purchase, when you have to pay for simple listening to a YouTube audio, YouTube video. If being a teacher, you are teaching something, you are creating the resources, put it on the YouTube, put it on the public source, remove all the restrictions, be it free, be it free. Be it free, be it open. Open and free sources have changed the world now, and you must contribute in this respect. If you being a good teacher are able to prepare a lecture at a particular point of time, if you have put your video on the YouTube, and all across the world, the students, whenever they feel, they may have the access of that, and they may get the benefit of that. In this a small step in this juncture, I too have started this thing that whatever the classes I have taught during my online mode, I have recorded all of them. I have put it on my YouTube. It is free, no restriction is there. Simply put Sarshad Hussain on the Google or the YouTube. You will come to know my recorded lecture. And I have floated my YouTube link to all the students or the groups which were available with me with respect to because I am teaching the syllabus of the Jammu University, so that the students can get benefit. This was my little idea. I don't know whether it is having some benefit to you or not, but I think it is more in line with the talk of the Dr. Mudassar M. Kirmani. I would like to thank the organizers of this conference, this webinar, a wonderful conference, a international conference, putting the resources from all across the world, a wonderful combination within a very short period of time. And I know the team led by a veteran personality, Professor Musharraf Hussain Shah, the patron of this webinar. I think this is not impossible for him, and he has done many wonders in the recent past, and we are highly benefited by this webinar. And thanks for giving me the opportunity. And I think this is a plus point of this COVID-19, that had it been the offline webinar seminar, then the resources from across the world, and even I don't think from the Poonch, living at the Poonch, you will not be able to get the resource from Jammu even, which is nearest metropolitan cities that we are having. So it is a plus point that has been told to us by the pandemic, that yes, we can get together world over, a new idea, a very fresh idea. So everything has benefit and negative also. We have to keep ourselves well acquainted with the challenges, and we have to keep ourselves well advanced with the advancing this environment that is going to change in near future. Thanks. I always like to share a couplet that हम ही हम हैं तो क्या हम हैं, तुम ही तुम हो तो क्या तुम हो, चमन में इख्तलाफ तो रंग बू से बात बनती है, हम ही हम हैं तो क्या हम हैं, तुम ही तुम हो तो क्या तुम हो. ये जो वर्ल्ड ओवर का इख्तलाफ है, that has a wonderful benefit in these days. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Professor Sushad Hussain ji. You have been explained briefly the feedback about the international webinar. Anybody who want to share his ideas, his or her ideas? I think Professor Rupali Jambal is there.
Hello.
Professor Rupali Jambal, Head Department, Computer Science, Government Women College, Parade, Jammu. Kindly share your experience about the international webinar. Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah, Tariq sir, I am audible.
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk. To begin with the principal sir address to Dr. Mudassir's lecture, it was all full of information. All the eminent speakers, they provided a very vast knowledge about the use of ICT during this pandemic COVID-19, and it gives us obviously an immense learning about the current scenario. All the speakers, they enlightened very well about the ICT, teacher learning, and all the blended learning we used here. I would like to congratulate all the committee members of Government Degree College Poonch for conducting such a webinar, and request you all to initiate more such programs in future. All the best to all of you for your future endeavors, and thank you Tariq sir and the organizing committee for giving me such a time slot. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Anybody want to share his idea?
Dr. Tariq, there is one student from Government Degree College, Rajouri, Vishwaprit Singh. If he's there, he can share, and then Wasim Sahab also he can share.
Yeah. What is his name, sir?
His name is Vishwaprit Singh. Maybe he is around. If he is there, he can give the feedback. Otherwise, you can call the other participants.
Okay. Any other participant who wants to share his ideas?
Yes, sir. I will like to put my views.
Yeah, you will continue.
Yeah. Myself, Dr. Umendra Malik. I am working as an assistant professor in MD University, Rohtak, Haryana. It is 60 kilometers from New Delhi. Since morning, we are talking about regarding the role of ICT and COVID-19 pandemic situation. And I was listening to all the speakers which have given their ideas, they share their research regarding that how these citizens of their countries are fighting in making the teaching learning process effective. Because unless and until the teaching learning process is not effective, if learning is not happening, then the only purpose of forming the instructional objectives, the educational objectives, and following the Bloom's taxonomy is not been achieved. And in relation to that only, I conducted a study in the NCR region of New Delhi regarding the challenges in teaching learning during COVID-19 situation. And the things which came out of that when I was doing the survey, it was a descriptive survey research which was being done. Earlier, as we all know, that in the corona pandemic emergency situation being announced by WHO, and nowadays the trend which is going on, that is the work from home situation. At that particular time, if you look towards the basics which have been required for the fulfilling of the ICT, that is information communication technology, which is another form of educational technology. Because when we are using the technology in the field of education, then it becomes educational technology. And ICT is just a part of educational technology. So here we have seen, what we have observed that nowadays the problem of internet, the problem of LMS, which we are having in every university, the learning management resources, the use of Google, the use of Cisco WebEx, the use of WhatsApp groups, all these techniques are being used in sharing the text materials, the videos, the animational effects, the virtual laboratories, only to make the learning effective. But the one thing which has came out of all these things, that as well the opinion of the students, that in the online learning, which we have came from the chalk to talk, and now we are doing talk that also with the help of our digital media, the effectiveness has lowered down. The students are not able to learn. Why they are not able to learn? Because the learning pattern and the teaching pattern has changed. Because we have been observing that from the last 15 years, because if I have to talk about my own self, I am in the teaching profession from the last 15 years, teaching in the university. That from the last 15 years, we are teaching the students with our face-to-face process, and we are teaching the students with the face-to-face process. At that time, we noted how to make the students learn. But now at this period of COVID-19 pandemic, teachers are also feeling a bit hesitant, we can say a bit having problems in achieving the learning goals. And the same thing is happening with the students. Because from the class nursery to their post-graduation level, they were used to being taught in the face-to-face situation. And now they are made to learn, made to taught, made to study with the help of this online teaching. So because of this, both the student and the teachers are affected. And with this, the quality of education is being deteriorated. So though we agree that ICT and COVID-19 pandemic are going side by side, but ICT can only be a teaching aid in making the teaching learning effective, but not a substitute of a teacher. This is my summation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. You have shared very effective ideas regarding digital learning.
Very good observation. Very good observation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Excellent.
Yeah. We have very dynamic personality, Professor Musharraf Hussain Shah, sir. If you have any suggestion, kindly share, sir.
It's all fine. I think it has been a very good exercise, and my greetings to you for having been able to organize such a wonderful webinar, and my appreciation to Dr. Ashik Raza also, who is more a part of Degree College Poonch than a part of any other college, and has been part of every activity. And I salute you really for all the support that you extend, and the coordination and the cooperation that you actually extend to our faculty and our students. And I think this is how we have to move forward. Together, we were able to, fetch the people from different countries and quite brilliant brands with a very vast experience in different fields. And they were able to share their knowledge, their experience, and their understanding of the current scenario. And, taking drawing our attention towards various important, aspects of the information communication technology and also the educational technology, and also what is happening there in different parts of the world and how they are using the information communication technology, in dealing with the COVID situation and also in dealing with the disturbed scenario with regard to unrest in different parts of the world. And I think it has this positive impact has brought us closer actually, and has developed those skills in us in connecting with the different people, and hope that this kind of exercises we'll be able to conduct in near future also. Together we'll be more strong. My thanks to all the participants, to all the people, my appreciation, deep appreciation rather, in capital words, to the organizing committee for having been able to conduct such an effective, powerful, fruitful, and very elaborative exercise on this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. You have shared very much informative ideas. Floor is yours, sir. Dr. Ashik Malik, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tariq sir. Now, if there are some final remarks for only 1 minute or 2 seconds from the esteemed final remarks, some from the esteemed persons, if they have some observation. Resource person.
Dr. Ashik Malik Sahab, I hope that I'll just first of all say thanks to Dr. Sarshad Hussain Sahab and other eminent dignitaries in the conference whom had shared their opinion. And this is a true fact that conventional teaching cannot be replaced by online teaching. There is no doubt about it. But at the same time, the online teaching can be a facilitator, and it can help us in imbibing better skills to students in line with conventional teaching. It should be a perfect blend. And I must say that it has been a learning experience for me as well since morning. The webinar was prepared meticulously, well organized, keeping track of each and everything in a nice and beautiful fashion. I must salute you for that, and thanks a lot for giving me an opportunity as well. Thank you, Dr. Ashik Saab.
Thank you, Dr. Kirwani Saab. And I think Dr. Christian Bartov is around. If we can have his views for just 1 or 2 minutes. Dr. Christian.
Yes, I'm very glad to listen to the contributions. It's became an international conference from different continents, which is so important. Maybe we should include Australia next time. And I would like to continue sharing my thoughts and listen to the contributions and come into a dialogue in future. And very warm thanks for this invitation, Dr. Shakraza. I was very, very happy to hear after some time. We met first time during the 150 birth anniversary celebrations of Gandhi last year. And now I continued with lectures on different aspects of Gandhi and try to document with whatever you can share with me. A poster or the video of this session will be very precious for documentation purpose. So very, very happy and hope to meet you again soon.
Thank you so much, sir. You're always with us, and it was a very long conference today, around 4 hours. and you remained with us. We know from very early morning you have joined the webinar. Thank you so much, sir. Now, Dr. Munir Karama. Dr. Munir, I think he's around. If not, then Dr. Munir is there? No?
Yes, he is there, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Munir, please just for 1 minute, please just share your views and then final remarks. Dr. Munir. No? Dr. Waziri. Dr. Waziri, are you around?
Yes, I'm very much around. Thank you once again.
Yeah, please
Yeah. This is a very interesting conference, and I hope that we'll be having it each year. And I think the organizers have done a very good job, and the selection of topics are very interesting. So I'm happy to participate, and I hope to participate again next year when there's anything like this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Waziri. It was so nice to have you in this pertinent webinar, and we are really blessed. So, any other esteemed resource person? Dr. Mohan Kumar? Dr. Mohan? Dr. Mohan is around?
He is not available, sir.
He is not available? Yeah, and we have another parallel. I think we have covered all the esteemed resource persons, and we are really thankful. Now, this is the time for the formal vote of thanks. I will request convener of this pertinent conference, Dr. Riaz Ahmed Mirza, Head Department of Computer Sciences, Government Degree College, Poonch, for the formal vote of thanks. Dr. Riaz Ahmed. Yes, Dr. Munir said that he has some problem to express his views. He just sent a message. Thank you, Dr. Sahab. You are always with us. Thank you. Dr. Riaz. Dr. Riaz is there, Dr. Sadiq sir?
Yes, sir, he is available.
Thank you, Dr. Ashik Malik. Am I audible to you?
Audible. Kindly continue.
Okay, thank you. What the Principal, Government Degree College, Poonch, Professor Ahmed Shah, invited speakers from India and abroad, participants from different corners of country and abroad, organizing members, and other persons involved in this conference. Good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of GDC Poonch, Sheikh Computers Association Poonch, and Attitude Change International Dharhal Malcolm, I extend my sincere thanks to all for being a part of today's event, that is International Webinar on ICT and COVID-19. First of all, my thanks to Professor Ahmed Shah, Principal GDC Poonch, for his dynamic leadership in organizing such a beautiful and valuable event. Thank you very much, sir. You always have shown a great partnership for organizing such an events. Thank you very much, sir. We had 6 speakers in today's event. Our first speaker was Dr. Mohammad Tanveer from IIT Indore. He has beautifully explained machine learning algorithm and applications in biomedical data. Thank you very much for sparing a valuable time and sharing your beautiful presentation to the audience, the participants. The next speaker was Dr. Mohana Kumar Patel, Associate Professor, Center for Ayurvedic Biology and Holistic Nutrition, University of Transdisciplinary Health Sciences and Technology, Bangalore. Thank you very much for sir, for sparing your time and be a part of today's conference and explaining your work on today's topic. Then we had Dr. Christian Batov, President Ghandian Information Center, Berlin, Germany. I have been listening to him since last year, and he always shown his valuable talk on the prescribed topic. Thank you very much, sir. Then we had Dr. Munir Karama from Palestine. He has given the case study on Palestinian response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and he has shown some statistical information about this COVID-19 of Palestinians. Then we had next speaker, Waziri Garbaji from Nigeria, and he has presented ICT in COVID-19 Africa, its challenges and opportunities. Thank you very much, sir, for a part of today's conference, of spending a valuable time. Then we had Dr. Mudassir Kirmani, and he has explained ICT in present pandemic and how ICT can be useful in present scenario for teaching, learning, and these were the 6 speakers of today's webinar, and all speakers has shown their best in presenting beautiful talks. Then we had feedback from 4 different persons, from Dr. Namita, Dr. Sarshad, Rupali Jamwal, and Professor Malik. They also shown their ideas and views about today's conference and related to the topic. Then I extend my thanks to organizing committee, and particularly Dr. Ashik Malik, who has managed all the conference in a beautiful manner, and Dr. Tariq, who always remained a part of us for organizing such a beautiful and useful webinar and other events. Then we had our advisory committee comprising of different members, including Professor Khadam, Dr. Bindu, Dr. Muhammad Latif, Professor Fateh Muhammad, Dr. Aziz, and Tahsin Bas. They have advised. They has given a valuable advice in organizing such an. I missed one name, Dr. Maruf Khan, who remained a part of this conference from the very first day, and in today's conference he has also introduced all the speakers in a very beautiful manner, and he always did his best in doing jobs and works. And at last, I thanks all for making this webinar a successful one. Thank you very much, all, and best of luck to all in this pandemic. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. And thank you to you, Dr. Riaz Saab, who in such a, we can say in a nice way, you have an excellent way, you have coordinated all this, we can say, a huge conference under the able leadership of Professor Mr. Hussain Shah Saab, Principal, Government Degree College, Poonch. So I think now I will request Professor Ahmed Shah Saab to have the 1 or 2 remarks and finally declare this conference closed. Professor Shah Saab.
First remark is that Mr. Riaz Saab, you have to keep your face towards the light.
Thank you, sir.
And then second, my thanks to all the people, those who joined from different countries. You have honored us by being a part of this conference, and your presence has certainly added value to our effort. And we hope that in future also we'll be together in sharing the knowledge, and it has been 100% success. God bless the organizing committee for having been able to fetch this quality human resource and bring them on one platform. So my greetings and congratulations to the organizers and also the participants. Thank you very much. And now we can call it a day. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you so much, sir. And we can have, I think, group photo. If everybody will put on the camera, and we can have the group photo, please. Group photo. Yeah.
My photo without camera is much better.
Yes.
You are so graceful, Sirshad Sir. From top to bottom, you are a genius.
Yes, of course. Thanks.
So I can take this photo, pic in my mobile also.
Yes, sir. So, thank you once again, one and all. And we hope that we look forward to be together in another international event or conference very soon. So our thanks are to the resource person and their respective nations and their respective continents, and hopefully in the next webinar, as Dr. Bartov has expressed his concern, surely we will invite our friends and the resource person from Australia, and we can say Brazil, Argentina in the South America, as well as the North America. So these hopefully we will try to connect the more people in the upcoming webinars. So thank you all, and congratulations to Professor Shah Saab and his entire team. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so
Thank you, one and all.
thank you.
I have already shared feedback from the chat box.
Yeah, feedback is already there, and to esteemed resource person, we will be sending the certificates very soon. Yeah, and regarding the participants, I think we have already shared the feedback form, and there are auto-generated certificates, and they will get instantly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I filled it also.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So thank you, Dr. Krishna Bartov, Dr. Munir, Dr. Waziri, Dr. Mudassir Karmaniji. Dr. Mudassir, maybe he has left. So, okay, now we can close. Okay.
Okay,
Dr. Maruf Saab, Dr. Laruk Saab, Dr. Riyaz Saab.
Okay, we can
Okay.
close.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. And congratulations.
Fine now.
Yes, sir.
Handsome pic is completely visible.
And also, we can say the people who have given the feedback, they have also added the new feedback in this program, isn't it?
Yes.
I think, yeah. Professor Malik from Haryana and my two professors from Jammu Parade College. I forgot the name. And they are there. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So nice. Thank you. Now, can we close?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we will sit for another session for the press release.
Bye, everybody. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Narinder is also, Dr. Narinder sir, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. Thank you so much. Dr. Narinder.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Okay.
ऑन करो ना, इधर आ जाओ.
Yes. We have Aishtu, if I can pronounce the name. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.